Yo, what up, Thebe? Good morning, mate. Thank you for the congratulations on the 300 subs, man. I hit it last night, and then we ran up to like 302, 303 last night. I think I hit 303 last night, but then I hit 303, and then after I hit 303, I lost like 3 subs. But then we're back up to 303 today, so I'll take it. How you doing today, brother? Good dudes, nice lazy Sunday. You got anything major planned for today? Just gaming? Trying to get everything set up. We're trying the split stream on the YouTube channel. We'll see how it goes. Probably terrible, but who really cares, right? Yo, what up, Leon? How you been doing, baby? How's the new job? Kicking your ass? I'm sure it's killing you, right? Oh, man. Everything set back up. Oh, boys. You're not that old? Dude, I'm old in a new job. I'm not that old, and a new job would kick my ass, dude. Anytime you start a new job, right? Like, to be honest, man, even just starting a new job or changing your routine in any way is like, I don't know, for me it's a big shock to the system. It takes a lot out of me. I don't know, man. I really just like to do like the same thing all the time. You know what I mean? Like once I find like a routine that I like, I don't like to disrupt it. So it's the way I am. I mean, you guys might not be that way, but that's 100% the way I am. Dude, once I find that routine, I don't want to change it. Dude, I'm the same. I don't like change. I used to lie to myself when I was younger. When I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, man, I love change. I love trying new things. I love doing new things. I love going out. That was such a lie. The older I got, the more I look back at the time, and I'm like, dude, I was uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I just said I liked it because other people were around, and I didn't want to feel like a weirdo. Man, I don't know, man. I hate change. Like, I go out of my way to make sure that I feel comfortable with stuff. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just the way I am. I like to know what's going on. I like to be able to control the flow. I like to do whatever. Dude, some of the, like, we're gonna go through some comments. I love that, like, some of the comments I get, on, like, some of these videos, you can definitely tell, like, who has no common sense, right? It helps with the transit. Honestly, I think if you have a lot of freedom, if you have like a lot of ability to kind of like do whatever, it does make things feel a little better, right? Like you're not locked down. You're not locked down to your desk. You're not in like a very strict system to where you can like, not even about like getting up and moving from your desk, right? But you just don't have like a lot of oversight in like a really heavy aggressive way. I could see that being much better. Woman has a lot more balls than you for sure. How do we want to respond to this? What up, Prince? How you doing, baby? What do we want to say here? Being mentally ill and safety laws, your life, But to each their own, you know, whatever. How's it going, Hector? You having a good day today, buddy? I met a few women simply by, we're going to do what we've been doing, which is like go through some comments, spend about a half hour like responding to comments and stuff. So some of these I don't even know what to say to, man. I have no idea what to even say. So half of them I just don't, like the ones I don't know what to respond, I'm like, I don't even know what to say, right? Like some of these like commit murder, get a paid vacation, welcome to law enforcement. Like I don't feel like fighting with these people. 69 stream streak gone. It was your favorite number, dude. You missed. Doesn't it normally give you an option to save it on your next stream? Like typically if you miss a stream, I'm pretty sure it gives you the option to save it, like when you show up on another. But either way, I mean, I've lost like 60 stream streaks because I just couldn't, you know what I mean? I just couldn't be bothered to get on. Don't worry about it, buddy. How you doing? It worked out and I felt great, dude. Hard to try this. You need to try and get 69. Where are you at? You're probably pretty close, aren't you? So I'm getting close to the end of the grind. I saw that you got your fucking, what was her name? You got Harris, right? Yesterday? I saw you had Harris yesterday, which is a positive. We'll go through some of this. Go Trump. That's me don't own a car anymore. We'll go back and we'll try to grab some of these other ones. I don't have too many, so it's not too bad. Yeah, like some of this I'll just leave. But we'll get through a couple of these, couple more of these. Which video is that? Which one? The one that's pinned? The video that's pinned should be the people are blocking the ICE cars. That's the one where they're blocking the cars. Like they're like driving around and like using their cars specifically to block ICE. I think we're good here. Oh, which one was that? Which one? I'm just going through all of my comments. You can see which video it is over here to the side, and then you can see what their comment is. It's like this one about the woman having more balls than me was about the women blocking their road, or the women blocking the road with their cars. This one was about the people, like the modern dating is failing, where this dude said he went to the gym. This one is a Hassan video. This one was an AI video. Like some of these I don't have to worry about. The commit murder, get a paid vacation. This was about that chick getting shot. Then some of these are like older. Some of these are like older comments that I just like missed or whatever. So we'll let them go. We'll talk about some stuff. The like good news, bad news is I guess there's technically like, I guess there's technically a lot of stuff to talk about. Right? There's like a lot of stuff to talk about, I guess. But the downside is like most of the stuff to talk about right now is just the same stuff we've been talking about, right? Which is just about like the riots and the rioters. And like I'm okay to cover it for like a couple days or whatever. But I feel like we're basically getting to the end of wanting to cover it because now it's just devolving into people just yelling and screaming back and forth with like no real information, right? No information, no change, no anything else. It's basically just devolved into like partisan politics. And people just like watching the same thing and drawing two completely different narratives. And then there's no like room for it. There's no room for gray area in it. So either you see it one way or you see it the other way. I don't know. It's like looking at a wall that's painted blue. And everybody can see that the wall is blue. but then they just start arguing about which shade of blue it is. What up, Bjorn? I see you sneaking in over there, baby. I saw you sneak in earlier. How you doing, Biggin? It's just like, you know, I want to talk about stuff. I want to talk about stuff that's like fun, interesting, entertaining, relevant, but, you know, you can only do so much. I might need to aim my camera down some, at least on the full screen. I might also get rid of that. I might get rid of that transition. It was nice like back in the day, but now I just think it just adds a bunch of time and makes things like messy and hard to deal with. We'll go through a couple things we saw in the news. We've got an absolutely crazy woman that we get to talk about. So I love talking about crazy women. It's like my pastime anymore. We've got somebody showing exactly how arrests are supposed to go, or like not arrests, but how like, you know, stops, you know, police stops and detainments are supposed to go. We've got this, which is just like feigned outrage that I want to talk about. This is feigned outrage and it pisses me off. This one here, I just tweeted about this. We'll watch it later. But read the headline. Elderly woman gently scolds loud Twitch streamer in Target. This is Rakai. This is the elderly woman, chat. She is elderly. She is what is considered elderly. Not a fucking single gray hair. Looks like she can't be over what, like her late 20s? Maybe 30 if she's lucky. She's considered fucking elderly right now. We'll watch this. I kind of like skimmed through the video, but she's very soft spoken. So you can barely hear her. Woman blocks traffics. This was the same crazy. This is like the same crazy woman from up here. So we'll put this up here. We'll talk about this we'll talk about this and how I feel about it. And then after that, we've got we were gonna watch the They're Scared Bellular video the other day. We've been dragging our feet on watching it. So Thebe posted this one, which is like I think the newest Bellular video. Check out the Bellular video. I'm curious about like Vera Dark. I'm gonna be honest about this. I have not reacted to like Vera's videos. I'm gonna be really transparent. I haven't reacted to Vera's videos, and the reason I haven't, because I follow her on YouTube. The reason I haven't reacted to Vera's videos is purely speculative on my part. Asmin used to react to her videos. He actually used to react to her videos quite a bit, right? Like I think he would react to like a video a week or something, right? Like because she puts out videos every day. He would react to like tons of her videos. Then he just stopped one day. I speculate without any proof, right, that at some point in time, Vera asked Asmin to stop reacting to her content, because Asmin typically just, if he finds content that resonates and people say interesting things and funny things, or just like generate good conversations, he'll normally react to anything. And if he reacts to your video, it's going to get you subscribers, right? So it's a good thing that he does it, and it's a good thing that he does it frequently. So I don't have any proof that she asked him to stop, but the only reason I even bring that up is because if that is the case, then more than likely she doesn't want people reacting to her content. So I typically have yet to react to any of her videos. But having said that, it's pure speculation. So I think that we'll go ahead and try it. And then we'll talk about Jack. I don't really care about Jack that much, but he's a nuisance streamer, and I dislike nuisance streamers a lot. And then we'll try to finish out with this Code Violet video just to check it out. I think Ecto tossed it in. We'll see if we can take this to like the 3-hour mark, and then if we can, then we'll switch over and play some games. So that's going to be kind of the workflow for the day, right? What game am I going to play today? I think we're still trying to knock out Final Fantasy. It's taken me a little while, but I think we're still trying to knock out Final Fantasy. Nothing news came out. I've got some backlog games that I want to play, but we haven't actually took the time to mess with them. Play the game called Ross is Bad. When did you rebrand your logo, Ross? I must have missed that because I see you on Twitch all the time. You're in bed? It's an interesting place to be, man. We do just chatting in the morning. Not everybody likes to hear opinions this early in the morning. You know what I mean? Not everybody likes to hear people rail about freaking culture war and politics and everything else in the morning. Some people are like, dude, I don't get down with that. I like to keep my opinions to myself. Not me, not anymore. Oh, what game are you gonna play? Oh, I'm gonna play Ross in Bed. That could be fun. Is it a two-handed game? I mean, a two-player game? Or is it single player? You here for the streaking? I know why you're here. I feel like it's a two-handed game. For sure. I feel like it's a two-handed game. Oh. Yeah, some of this stuff we won't have a lot to talk about, but... This one is one for, like, my UK buddies that I'm really worried about. This is one I'm worried about for my UK buddies. Because I'm seeing more and more restrictions coming out of the UK and Australia. And some of them I'm okay with. I don't want to say I agree with them, but I'm okay with them, right? For like limiting certain things, access to the internet, access to certain parts of the internet when you're young, when you're of a certain age. Should it fall to the responsibility of the parents? Yeah, absolutely. Our parents, some of these parents, pieces of shit, and they don't do what they're supposed to. Absolutely. At the end of the day, I only really care if it's going to directly affect me. And none of it really affects me, but I can see where it could affect me eventually. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to add these types of like restrictions, limitations, stuff like that, as long as I'm not doing anything illegal, it really doesn't matter. But the big one is like, is it going to impede my ability to do things? Am I going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get on the internet? Am I gonna have to verify all the time? Like, I don't want to have to do that, right? Like, I just want the internet to be like super easy for me because it's been that way forever. But I understand there's going to be like increasing security as the internet continues to mature and grow. And then on top of that, with like AI, everything else that's coming, it's so easy to like fake things. I don't know. I think the age of the free for all on the internet, the Wild West of the internet, I think it's done. I think it's genuinely done. I think that hopefully we don't have a situation where regulation comes on fast and hard and it overreaches because it doesn't want to give it up, right? And if it goes in like half-heartedly, people will see it and they will prevent it from going further, right? Like when you see people taking things away from you, you'll stop them before they take as much as they want. But if they just come in and they take everything, then you're fighting to get your stuff back, right? And it works out better for the people that are taking, right? So take it all instead of just taking it piece by piece. You know, the argument is like, if you take it piece by piece, people don't notice you're taking it piece by piece, blah, blah, blah. They're more inclined to give it up. But I saw this, and I mean, I'm sure there's probably really good news articles on it. We'll see if this actually takes us to the news article. But the UK government has confirmed plans to grant Ofcom the powers to scan encrypted chats under the new Online Safety Act using client-side scanning. Every message on your phone would be checked before encryption. If you're an average user, this doesn't really affect you, right? Like, this only really affects people who are doing things nefarious. But this is going to open, right? This is going to open the UK up to a potential level of censorship. And the only reason I say that is because like the UK right now has ever increasing censorship laws around free speech, the free speech that's perceived over there, what is considered to be hate speech, what is considered to be acceptable speech. And if they're going to do something like this would in theory enable them to prevent text messages from going across, right? The idea here would be that this would be for children's safety, right? They don't want children sending pictures of themselves or illicit pictures, or people requesting them from minors. But if they deem certain speech to be harmful, they could prevent you from texting certain types of speech or certain types of messages. to other people in a text message, right? Or like in a message that has encrypted chat, which is the same thing as preventing you from doing it in spoken language, right? How soon before complaining about the government becomes illegal? It'll be very similar, very tantamount, right, to what you see in Japan or in China right now, which is like certain words and phrases are banned on phones, banned on games, and banned on apps that you use over there, right? Like you can't say like Tiananmen Square, you can't say Taiwan, you can't say free Taiwan. Like if you play any Chinese game, those phrases can't be typed into the chat, right? Because they're banned. They're just outright banned. If you try to type them in, it either just won't send the message across, or it'll tell you that it's a banned word or a banned phrase or it's a bad word, right? So I mean, we know this happens, and we know this happens in China, and this is just one step away from making that happen. And if you've been following me or the channel for any amount of time, you know that I've been like a big I think the word's proponent, right? Like I've been in favor of adding some guide rails in to sort of like help protect children because their parents are too much of a piece of shit to protect their own kids, right? So I'm all for a level of like protection, but when does protection become overreach, and when does protection become censorship, right? Like censoring what minors are able to see and do makes sense, but now because you've set up these organizations, you might as well just have them censor what everybody else can do. So to me, this is actually a pretty big problem. Everyone's going to be jailbreaking their iPhones. Yeah, I think that there will be at some point, and this is where it'll get interesting, right? Because like X's chat is encoded. I think like WhatsApp might be encoded. A few of these other chats are encoded. But if this works in a way that it does it pre-encoding on your phone, because the software would have to be installed on your phone. And then what it does is when you hit to send the message, it gets filtered and then it sends out to the other person. Because once the message is encrypted, right, and it's in the air and it's in transit, you're not going to read it. So you'd have to put this on your phone. So then the idea would be, yeah, people will be buying phones that have software on them that prevent that from happening. I don't know. I'm sure that it'll happen and there'll be a way to bypass it, or there'll be a way to like flag it internally to send it. What this will end up doing is it will set up a system where criminals buy special phones, like burner phones, effectively, that allow them to bypass this, and only your average like British citizen is going to have all of their messages read. So then Frank around the corner that's mad because his neighbor does something and he makes a joke or a slur, that message will get blocked. But then the dude that's like texting like CP pictures, or the dude that's like doing drug deals or all that, his messages will go through because he spent the money to get a burner phone, right? The idea that this would work is good in theory, but I think that we're starting to get to a point where we are crossing some lines here. This is definitely crossing some lines. It's definitely crossing some lines. All right, let's sip some coffee, move on. Woman blocks traffic and honks horn before breaking down in tears when ordered to leave by an ICE agent. Oh, so you can fucking try to ruin these people's days, but then as soon as they like say anything to you, your fifis get hurt. This tells me everything I need to know. A woman stopped her vehicle in the middle of the road, blocked traffic, and honked her horn, prompting an ICE agent to approach her window and instruct her to leave. She complied while expressing fear. And breaking down in tears, citing the agent's gun. This incident was captured in a viral video. What do you think is gonna, like, what do these people think is going to happen here? We need to start arresting people. Honestly, we need to start arresting people, and before everybody says, oh, you know, it's like fascism or whatever. At this point in time, the brazenness of people is getting so out of control that I think that you need to take the law and stretch it to match the the intent of the people who are trying to push you to your breaking point, right? Like this is very different than if you just happen to like turn in front of a cop or something like that, right? Or you turn in front of an ICE agent. You weren't intending to like block or impede their investigation. So there's no reason for them to jump out of the car and like press you and arrest you. But if you are actively following these people around, if you're stopping your vehicles, if you're blocking traffic, if you're blocking the road, you're honking the horn, you're trying to stop their ability to do their job, then at that point you're impeding a federal investigation. You should be put in cuffs and you should be taken to jail. And then whether they keep you overnight, whether they detain you, or whether they release you after putting you in jail and putting you in custody and putting it on your record, it should happen. If you're gonna start allowing all this extreme, like these extreme behaviors to go on, they're only going to escalate, and they're going to escalate further and further and further because you're not really enforcing any rules or laws, right? So pretty sure this is the person in question. So we'll check it out.
Valuable lesson.
Pretty sure this is the person in question, so we'll check this out. Let's see what we got here.
If you're gonna go patrol ICE in your vehicle, it's probably best that you have a co-pilot, and your dog isn't a good co-pilot. Kiba and I went out driving around, and we came across...
I just realized she has one of those annoying as shit whistles hanging from her neck. Let's see what she's got to say here. I don't think you should be out counter patrolling ICE. Right? I just don't think you should be doing that. You could argue that you're trying to help protect government overreach, but again, there's a difference between following people around, ensuring they're doing their job, enforcing compliance and oversight, and being an absolute menace. And I think once you cross the line of being a menace, being a public nuisance, and impeding officers from doing their job when they have not been deemed to have their jobs be illegal, then you are crossing a line and you should be held accountable, right? If you're trying to hold these people accountable, then you should be able to be held accountable as well. And she's on tic-tac-toe. Nanio.
A convoy of 3 to 4 ICE vehicles stopped in front of a fucking daycare because, yeah, they're here investigating fraud, right? Then why does it fucking matter if I stop my vehicle in the middle of the street and I honk my horn? Maybe I'm having a fucking mental health episode, you know?
But you're not. See, here's the thing. This is like a level of intellectual dishonesty and intentional obfuscation that makes me mad, and I think makes a lot of other people mad. Because you know what you're doing. You did not just stop and have a mental health issue, whatever that means. You are trying to disrupt people. So the intent here matters more. You're not being punished for having a bad moment or for having something bad happen to you. You are being punished because you are intentionally being a menace, right?
But what did they do? They first of all, one of the agents looked at me and he goes, that was before I even started honking. I literally just pulled up on him and was fucking staring.
You literally pulled up on him, you were staring. I'm assuming you were wearing this same outfit, right? With the whistle and like you were probably staring at him and everything else. He's been seeing you following him. He knows what you're going to do, and he is trying to proactively save you from yourself and trying to stop you from doing the dumb shit that you are about to do. Yo, Ecto, thank you for the lurk, buddy.
When other people started honking, I started honking. I sat there and I laid on the horn, and then there was a very loud banging at the back of my car, and before I knew it, there was a person on my driver's side window with their fucking gun.
So let's clarify something here. It's not a person, right? There was a federal law enforcement officer at your back window, alerting you to his presence and trying to get you to vacate the premise. Very different than just you're just like randomly parked at freaking Subway and some stranger walks up with a shotgun and starts knocking on your window. See, this is this thing where they try to like paint with a brush to make you feel sympathetic for them while they completely misrepresent every fact that has just happened. So then you're supposed to be sympathetic to somebody who is brazenly lying to you. She really wants to end up like that one person? I mean, how can you say that she doesn't at this point? Also, what up, Stormy? You can't misrepresent facts just to suit your narrative. And that's what these people do. And they do it with such a straight face because I believe that they actually believe the lie that they're saying.
Their big fucking gun telling me to get the fuck out of here.
Sure.
And I did.
You should have. You should have, because your express intent there was to disrupt their workflow and to disrupt what is, until the courts say it's different, an absolute legal operation. You should not be there, and they're going to tell you to leave. Now, if you want to pull over and park your car on the side of the road in a valid parking spot, you want to get out, you want to not block the road, you want to not block traffic, and you want to stand around and blow your little retard whistle, you can do that until you're blue in the face. It's annoying, but at the end of the day, you're allowed to do that. But you are not allowed to impede traffic. You are not allowed to directly interfere with, interact with, or interrupt what they're doing as federal law enforcement. You're just not allowed to do it. So to act like you have some sort of like level of entitlement to do this is just beyond wild to me. People are getting paid to do this to ICE. No way on earth these people would quit their 9-to-5s. I've heard people saying that it's getting paid. I think that there's always a conversation. There's always a lot of people that when these types of protests happen, people come out and they're like, oh yeah, this is like a paid protest. I mean, there's probably money flowing around some, but like it's such a, I don't know. It's one of those things where I've never really paid too much mind to it. But if you believe it, right? Like if you believe it, if you've seen the proof of it, then it goes to show what's happening, right? But for me, I'd have to really chase it down. What up, Hell? How you doing, Hellkeeper? Dude, the amount of entitlement here is absolutely ridiculous. You would not do this in any other fashion, right? Getting by. Man, how you been? You been okay?
And I think I'm more angry and frustrated by this than I am scared. I'm pissed that I have to back down because you have a gun.
She's pissed because life is dictated by the Force Doctrine. If somebody with a bigger stick than you has the ability to impose their will on you, they're going to. You are mad because you are not allowed to do whatever it is that you feel like you're entitled to do. Like you're just mad because you don't get to do whatever you want. You get to disrupt rules. You get to disrupt laws. You get to say and do whatever you want. You get to act out. You get to act a fool. You're mad because you're not allowed to do that because you have created a world and you have created a narrative within your world, and you have filled your world with people who are like-minded and who will gaslight you into thinking that you have the ability to just say and do whatever you want without impunity. You have insulated yourself in a world that does not exist. You have pushed everybody out that challenges you, challenges your worldview, or challenges your way of life. You have created a narrative in which you are allowed to do anything you want, but nobody else is allowed to do the same. And then you are mad when your worldview gets challenged. You are upset, you are irritated, and you're frustrated. You did this to yourself. Nobody forced you to create this worldview. Nobody told you to disengage from society and only engage with people who think like you. If you do this, this is what is going to happen to you. Right? What gets me As a criminal came up, pointed a gun at them, they would obey the criminal, but they want to antagonize law enforcement. It's such an asinine thing. Like, if you take like 3 seconds and like just apply logic to any of this Hell's Keeper, it goes completely out the fucking window. So this is where the owner from Kitchen Nightmares ended up. What up, Rippa? Dude, these people choose to wake up and do this. It's one of those things where, yeah, well, we talked about it earlier in the video, so I'm not going to go back. But, yo, what up, Tora? I talked about it earlier in the video, so I'm not going to go back and talk about it. But at the end of the day, what these people do is what these people like to do is they will take facts. They will cherry pick the ones that fit their narrative. The ones that don't, they will remove them from the conversation. And then all of the spots that they removed where there's holes, they will artistically fill those gaps in with things that make them look good, right? So they will completely change the narrative, and they will keep 2 or 3 facts and then change all of the rest of them to fit their narrative and to ensure that what they're saying makes you feel bad for them. Sounds like gamers trying to defend slop. It's the same thing, right? Like, you can blatantly see what's happening, but you're just told not to believe it. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as shit. Past couple days on Twitter have been a joy for me. I've gotten to the point where I had to stop engaging because it was just ruining my feed. My feed is just the same like junk slop, and you can only tell people that they're retarded so many times. Nothing really. We talked a little bit about Ofcom. And how they're going to start reading messages prior to encryption in the UK. Wasn't a big conversation. We just talked about like how much bullshit it's going to be. And then we switched over to this crazy woman. We don't have a lot to cover today, just because, like, unfortunately, the only real news right now, like, nobody's talking about Iran. I'm not going to do the research on Iran. It's just, there's so much research. No media, no news outlets covering Iran, so I can't talk about Iran. The only thing that's really being talked about is this stupid shit that's happening in Minnesota. The riots, the protests, and like people's just like lack of ability to critical think. And I mean, like, it gets boring talking about the same shit too much time, right? Like, so unless I see something funny or cool or interesting or a good clip, like, unfortunately we're just running like short, so we'll be doing some more YouTube videos and stuff. So we got some YouTube videos to check out here in a little bit.
And that you will kill me. And that you will kill anybody that stands in your fucking fascist way.
This woman, the narrative that she has driven in her head, like, listen to this.
That stands in your fucking fascist, pissed that I have to back down because you have a gun.
Nobody's talking about Iran, yeah.
And that you will kill me. And that you will kill anybody that stands in your fucking fascist way.
See what I mean? Where is the logic behind this? I have been watching hundreds of clips, probably several hundred hours of footage. I have not seen immigrations and customs enforcement officers walking around executing people in the street. I have not seen them executing protesters. I'm not saying that there aren't some protesters and some people who have crossed some lines, but I've not seen it. I've seen immigrations and customs officials being assaulted. I've seen them being pushed around. I've seen them having things thrown at them. I've seen them spit on. I've seen them, all these other things. I've seen it. And I'm not seeing bullets loose. So again, this goes back to this person having this like weird narrative in their head. And this goes to the rhetoric. If you have politicians standing up calling immigrations and customs enforcements Nazis, then in these people's minds, they actually believe that these are death squads running around and that their life is actually at risk. It's fucking wild. It's literally wild. Just saying, they had a gun, but she's alive. Making a sobbing TikTok, so it looks like they didn't shoot. I mean, based, right? Police are there to keep the peace, so if you break the peace, you'll get arrested, not killed. This is misinformation. This is beyond misinformation, right? If that was happening, we would know about it. But this is somebody who's got like main character syndrome. So they're out there trying to get the sympathy vote.
But at the same time, I'm at a point in my life where I love it. I like being here, and I don't want to not be here.
Is she talking about just existing, or is she talking about the attic? I feel like she's trying to talk about like existing in general, but I'm gonna assume she's just talking about she really likes being in her attic, crying and making TikToks. I feel like that fits the story much better. There's no place in the world for truth anymore. I mean, not anymore. It's sad, but it's the way it is, right? It's the trying to paint people to look wrong needs to stop. Oh, yeah. Just overall, yes.
And it's frustrating to have always been somebody who is involved in protests and involved in speaking out and...
Dude, this woman's identity is protesting. She basically has just said that her whole identity has been finding something and interjecting herself to try to provide relevance in her life. Her whole life is just protest after protest. We would have never guessed, obviously. Obviously, she doesn't just find whatever cause sounds important to her and then takes her like white woman liberal pride to the extreme, or her white woman like liberal guilt to the extreme, and then uses that to justify her level of entitlement and while equally being oppressed. Because I'm assuming, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, right? I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm assuming she's gay. So she's oppressed and entitled at the same time. Nothing wrong with her being gay. Nothing wrong with her being gay. I like gay people. I really like gay women. Nothing wrong with it. But I'm just trying to figure out which boxes she's checking. That way I can figure out which sort of you know what I mean? Like how oppressed she is, while trying to figure out how entitled she is, so I know how many like causes she's trying to support to offset the guilt, while still having enough oppression to be able to align herself with all of these things. But he streams right now, and that female looks just like him. I have no idea who that is. I don't know, boys.
Has always felt like, for the most part.
Also, what up, Hoffmeister? I saw you earlier. I didn't mean to miss your message, man. How you doing, brother? Kind of waiting for the stitch where it's men's fault. Bonus points for Zionist's fault. It could happen. It could happen. I'm surprised that there's not like a communist poster back here, and then like a stream of Hassan's playing in the corner. Just woke up with the coffee. How's the coffee? I feel like these women in America are crazy, and she's normal. Yeah, your sister's normal. That's the thing. It's because there's not the same level. How do I want to say this? It's just the activist mentality. The activist and the victim mentality, for whatever reason, runs very deep in the US. I don't understand why. Best coffee is the morning coffee. That is true.
Like, for the most part, I've been able to have my right to protest, my right to be angry. And that's not a thing anymore.
You have the right to protest. Nobody took your right to protest. You are alive. You are at home. Nothing bad happened to you. Your feelings got hurt because you were told that you cannot stop in the middle of the road and block traffic. So because of that, that is all it took. That is all it took to end your activism. Your activism only extends to the point, or only extends up to the point where somebody pushes back. So you're an activist and you're somebody that supports causes until it becomes uncomfortable for you. So you're not even really an activist. You're just somebody that's chasing all of these different groups to virtue signal that you're a good person to make yourself feel better. Because again, she could have easily parked her car, got out of her car and started blowing her fucking retard whistle. She could have absolutely done that, but she didn't. As soon as she got even an ounce of resistance, she ran and cried and made a TikTok. You know, like, this is why I never use X. Shirley. Killing me, Prince.
And I'm really fucking angry about it. And I'm feeling fucking hopeless. But I know I can do other things. I know I can go buy groceries for people who are too afraid to go to the grocery store. I can fucking walk their dogs. I can volunteer my time and my energy in other places. And also, I'm not fucking afraid to come back and sit in my fucking car and honk my horn. You scared the shit out of me today. But I'm not gonna fucking back down. We're not going to back down.
Here, all right, so I'm gonna level with you guys, and I'll probably have to cut this entire thing. I don't know if we'll have to cut this from YouTube or not. Here's the problem. I'm gonna be really transparent. This person, through rhetoric, is emboldened to break the law. But the mental illness is fucking out of hand. It is. This is my here's the point. This person is emboldened to break the law. This person is empowered in thinking that they're in the right. So what they're going to do is they're going to go out and they're going to continue to do these things. The big problem is, like what happened in Minneapolis, these people are mentally unstable. They're 100% mentally unstable. Their brain doesn't work right. They can't rationalize. They can't understand reasoning. Their brain doesn't function right, okay? So then this person is going to go block the road. They're going to get a lot of pressure. They're going to sit there for 3, maybe 4 minutes blocking the road. They're going to dance. They're going to do their little dances. They're going to run on their window. They're going to scream, you know, power to the immigrants, fuck ICE out the window, right? They're going to do all these things. And then what's going to happen is Immigrations and Customs is going to roll up on them. Immigrations and Customs rolls up. They get out of their car. They approach this woman with her window down. They run up and they're like, stop, get out of the car, blah, blah, blah. She's going to freak out because now she's afraid because she's got a death squad walking up to her car. They're going to surround her car and they're going to try to pull her out of her car. She is going to think that she has the legal right to run. And when she does, she's going to pull forward and she's going to hit one of the officers. And as soon as she hits them, they're going to shoot her. And then what's going to happen is we're going to have the same news story that we just had a week ago happen again. And you can say I'm wrong or you can say whatever you want, but this just happened. And this is how it happened. Like, can anybody else see it or am I dumb? Because this is exactly how it happened. So someone's dad pushes him out of the way or tells him to leave. But this is exactly how this happened. Isn't your country's crime rate down? Ours? I mean, it depends. What's worse, these protesters don't seem to understand the law enforcement. Is at least their worries. They have to show restraint. The Joe taxpayer's on his way to around his 9 to 5 by the 8th time this month because the protester dropped the road. He's gonna get the fuck over it. That is I think that we talked about that before, and I have a video over on YouTube about it. So if you guys are here, you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel for these types of conversations. We talk about a lot of things over there, and if you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment, do all those things. It really helps the channel. It's gonna help me grow and help me make more content like this. But transparently, Leon, I think you're right. I think that the average American is getting really, really fed up with doing nothing wrong, and they're just trying to get around, and the road is blocked. And next thing you know, you're going to have somebody's kid who is outside of school that gets picked up by some like windowless van because they couldn't get there on time. Or you're going to have like Joe Nobody loses his job because it's the 5th time he's late in a month. And now he's on his way home after being laid off, and there's a line of people blocking him on his way home, and he freaks out. He's just had enough. He decides, I'm going home. My life is ruined. I don't care. I'm going to go home and get a drink. These motherfuckers are breaking the law. Whatever happens, happens. Right? That's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. Dude, people have already died in ambulance due to protesters. I don't like to hear that. There's that one video Judge played where someone was getting called a bitch for politely asking protesters to move out of the way. Yeah, it's... Those protesters should be brought up on the manslaughter charges. You live in Greece, and I'm Democrat fatigued, and Callster, you're killing me. I mean... Are you guys... I mean, like, I feel like this is happening around the world right now. Like, to a different degree other places, but I feel like this level of like suppression, this level of like forced narratives, people being feigned, like systematic like guilt, especially in the EU. Like one of the ones that's really hard to talk about as an American is like over in the EU. I know there's a lot of like guilt and white guilt riddled around like the aftermath of like Germany. So people are like even more cautious to not speak out and say things. But like, are you guys seeing like the same kind of thing? Yeah. And yeah, an older guy shot some protesters that were blocking his way. It's going to get bad because those are going to be flashpoints because the cops do have restraint, but these other guys, like, they're not going to do it, or they're going to get blocked. They're going to come up and they're going to ask somebody to like back up, right? Like, get back. I'm trying to get through. And one of these protesters is going to reach out and touch him in the chest. And as soon as it happens, he's going to say, I was assaulted. And he's going to pull out his gun and just start laying waste to people. Right? Because there are people that will actively look for these situations to insert themselves in, right? Because these fucking people are actively looking for situations to insert themselves in. So what's going to stop people who are on the other side that are tired of it from inserting themselves? Some people just won't slow down. In Florida, you don't have to, right? In Florida, if you're blocking the road as a protester, like Florida, they don't have to stop. You're speed bump because you're actively breaking the law. I don't know when it became okay to break the law during a protest, because you could look back to like MLK protests and all of that. A lot of those were official protests, and you had to file for permits and you had to do all these other things if you wanted to block the road, or if you want to protest down the middle of the street. And especially like back then, a lot of the civil rights protests, those guys all followed the law because it was the only way they could ensure their protest would be allowed, right? Because if they were just brazenly breaking the law, the cops would just come in and arrest everybody. So they had to make sure they filed, like they filed all the appropriate paperwork for their big marches, right? But at some point, people just were like, nah, we'll disregard the law. And like the government was like, yeah, sounds good, man. When did that happen? In Florida, they're considered speed bump or a hood ornament. I think more of those laws will get passed in red states. After this shit happens and more people lose their jobs and stuff, those laws are going to happen. I don't know, boys. This is just wild. I don't know. I think that, yeah. So, like, back to Diana's point here. We have serious mental health crisis in the country. I'm not being funny. These people are under significant mental distress due to their ideology. I mean, at the end of the day, this is true. These people have created a worldview that is completely untenable, and they are trying to force everybody else to live their delusion. And what they're doing is they are putting other people at risk. They're putting themselves at risk. And they are jeopardizing everybody around them. There's nothing wrong with challenging the status quo. There's nothing wrong with challenging the government. I think it's healthy to challenge the government, right? I think it's healthy to keep the government on its toes and doing what it's supposed to do. But you have to do it within the constraints of what are allowed. You can push them to a degree, right? Like everything is a rubber band. You can stretch it a little bit, but if you stretch it to where it breaks, you have a problem. And I think that in a lot of these situations, we have completely broke the rubber band, and you will see that public sentiment will shift, and then it will spring back the other way, and it will go against more than just these protests. Because now people will go, these guys are crazy. So then by extension, anything they advocate for is crazy. So we just want to push back against all of it. And then you'll have the bad actors from the right come out and overreach because they know they can. And the band is already swinging their way. So then they'll get additional sentiment and they'll be able to overreach, right? It's just the way these things work. It's fun. I don't know, boys. Let me go get some more coffee. Let's look. We'll see what view post engagements. Let me get some coffee. We'll see what's going on. It's coming back full speed. Yeah. White women are bored. They crave male leadership, so they harass federal agents until they get yelled at and put back in their place. Oh my God, dude. This is a troll and a half. Go back to the old system, be housewives, make sandwiches. This right here is the truth. I want to laugh and say it's funny, but these are real people who live in society with you and me, and that's scary. Don't do anything that gets me banned, Stormy, while I'm getting coffee. If I come back and I'm banned, I'm blaming you. Why would you do that? I don't know. I just had to say it. I had to say it. I had to give you some shit. Can I not give you shit? All right. What are we down to next? All right. This is what we'll show this.
What's up, officer?
We'll show this. I'm assuming people need to drop this ice garbage. I'm trying, Night Owl. Good news is like we're past it, right? I don't really think I have any more of that kind of stuff. Well, we've got this to talk about, but I was literally just talking about it earlier. I think it's not just you. I think a lot of people are getting fatigued. And that's what I was saying earlier. I was like, guys, I want to talk about some stuff. I want to talk about some stuff, but it's like it's the only thing in the news. Like it's the only thing. Like I spent the past, like, so I was off stream yesterday. So like while I was on the couch, I was like going through Twitter trying to find stuff to talk about. Normally I go through and like a bunch of stuff on Twitter, so I have shit to like check out. Everything on Twitter was just more of the same. And then like, you know, I put a couple YouTube videos out. But like, here, let me do this before we get going. I was talking to Rusty about this before we get moving. I was talking to Rusty about this. I was like kind of worried. Let's go to your channel. It's mostly only this. It'll go away. It'll go away, right? So I was talking to Rusty about this. I was actually worried because I was like, man, maybe I'm just like only talking like too politically. But I was like, honestly, like most of my videos, like, you know, I'll do some like some immigration stuff or whatever. But like a lot of my stuff hasn't been like, you know, about just like the shooting, or you know what I mean? Like a lot of my content is about gaming and everything else. Like it is a lot of like news like focused. But I was like, you know, I've had like this video, I've had these two videos. I got one more video coming out today that's sort of like about what happened. But like most of my stuff isn't. So I was like worried that I was like only covering this, and then I was like, really, I'm not only covering it. I'm covering quite a bit of stuff. It's just this happens to be what the news is. Also, guys, can we spend a second to talk about just how good my YouTube channel looks? I'm just gonna pat myself on the back. I feel like it looks good, boys. Like, I feel like the thumbnails look good. I feel like the thumbnails look good. I feel like the text looks good. I feel like they're all very uniform. You can tell that, like, this is all my content. I'm pretty happy with the way the YouTube channel looks. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Pretty happy with the way it looks. Might not be perfect, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks like a very nice, clean, uniform channel. So, pretty happy with it. It burns your eyes. I'll be quiet. I'll spank you, fucking Storm. All right. Back to what we were doing. Yeah. Did I hear about Billie Eilish? What'd she say? What'd Billie say? Duplicate. Check this over here for a second. Well, I definitely don't want a Billie Eilish leaked video. That's not going to be good. Billie Eilish. I get really nervous about searching some of this stuff because, like, obviously everybody wants to see Billie Eilish naked. So, like, you're obviously going to see, like, really weird stuff on Twitter. Let's see if we can find it. Billie Eilish report. I repost content calling for ICE terrorist group. We'll check it out. We'll see if there's, like, so she doesn't talk about it. She just says that she wants it done. Okay, we'll look at it. We'll look at this really quick. We'll look at this really quick before we like go over. Hey man, I gotta be careful. Like, I don't want to get fucking. I don't really want to get banned. Like, we joked about being banned. I really don't want to be banned if I can avoid it, right? Billie Eilish reposts content calling ICE a terrorist group after fatal shooting. Do it no balls? I have no balls. It's absolutely true. On January 7th, ICE agent shot... Yeah, we know about the shooting of Renee. This does nothing. You could just leave that out. This is just emotional. This doesn't need to be in there. During an immigration operation on a snowy Minnesota street. Again, anyway, it's not important. Video shows her SUV blocking the road, honking, and then briefly accelerating before an agent fired shots through her windshield. It just says the agent was acting in self-defense, but the mayor calls the claims of her weaponizing the vehicle bullshit. You can say whatever you want. Doesn't change the fact. Eilish reposted content highlighting 32 deaths in ICE custody in 2025, the deadliest year since 2004. And 2 more in 2026, amplifying calls for accountability as protests spread nationwide. Here's my thought on this. I think Billie is 100% within her right to have an opinion. And I think that she has a platform and she can say whatever she wants from her platform because she's not an elected official, right? So if she wants to say that in her view, she believes that ICE is overreaching, then that's fine. I don't think that she should call it like a terrorist group or like advocate for abolishing it. But again, well, this just says she condemns it that have done nothing to make our streets safer. Okay, so here's the way I feel about this. She's okay to say all of this. This is perfectly fine. I think that even asking for oversight is 100% okay, right? The biggest issue I have right now has nothing to do with Billie, has nothing to do with ICE. The biggest issue I have is that enforcing immigration policy in the US has become political. And because it's political, you cannot touch it. It is radioactive. So because it has become so radioactive, most everything that happens is happening behind the curtain. Because you can't just have conversations. You can't go to a specific facility or a specific location where there are bad actors, because there surely are bad actors operating within law enforcement, right? It happens. Or there are levels of government oversight that aren't there, or there is like a lack of funding. Like these things all happen. But because it is so politically radioactive, the organizations aren't getting funded the way they are. You can't have the proper level of oversight. You can't do anything that you're supposed to do because it is bad politically for your side. And when you do that, you end up in situations like this, which is bad things happen and you can't talk about them because the right is going to protect it tooth and nail, and the left is going to say that 32 deaths might as well be 3.2 million people. Right? So you can't have an honest conversation. And because you can't have an honest conversation, you can't do anything about it. And because you can't have an honest conversation, you can't look at actually paying attention to what's happening. Because if Immigration and Customs Enforcement was receiving the support that they need at state and local levels to carry out all of these searches and seizures, they would go much easier and it wouldn't be such a rushed mess and everybody would just be able to do it. And then you would be able to check it, get people processed and either release them or whatever and move on. But the whole process is fucked up, right? I think people that support illegal immigration should illegally immigrate to the Soviet Union and see what happens. The illegal immigration thing, 90% of the people that immigrate illegally, not overstay visas, but like immigrate illegally, are not coming here with tons of money, ready to like support the economy and help grow the economy. And seemingly a majority or a large amount of them aren't even willing to like assimilate. So they're basically just a burden to the system. So if you cannot accept that things are a burden to the system, and that why are you bringing in people to burden an already taxed system? It's just asinine to me. But if for this right here, I think that you can't have an honest conversation. Enforcing immigration has been weaponized both politically and emotionally. It absolutely has. I want people out so I can finally find a job. You need to pay bills. It's a conversation for sure. The only reason why it's political is because Trump was in office. It wasn't political when Obama deported over 1 million people that were in the U.S. illegally. It's, yeah, because it's a political football, right, Bubba? Like, at the end of the day, it's just about what's politically expedient. Nobody cares about the facts. Nobody cares about the facts of the matter. You can look at you can see that plain as day by looking at things that happen. So here's a prime example. Like, no politics, no bullshit. There is a level of dishonesty happening where you cannot even get two sides to agree that hitting somebody with your vehicle is considered assault with a deadly weapon. You cannot get both sides to agree to that. You can't do it. Can't do it. That right there is the bare minimum. You just can't get people to do it. So if your vehicle is parked, right? Because there's a difference between, because there's nuance. And if you run in front of moving traffic and you get hit, I don't think that's assault with a deadly weapon because you placed yourself in the direct line of fire to get hit, right? Like if somebody's like out in like the woods shooting and they shoot a gun and you jump in front of it, I don't think that person should be charged with like murder, right? Like it just shouldn't happen. Same thing. Like if you're driving and there are people that are illegally blocking the road and you pull up and they don't get out of the way, then you shouldn't be in trouble for moving them out of the way with your vehicle. But I think that if say you're in an altercation with somebody and you're arguing or whatever, and then you stand in front of their car because you're arguing, and they get in their car and they hit you, that's assault with a deadly weapon. Right? Like it's not even like this takes mental gymnastics to do, right? Like it's super obvious where the difference here lies, right? To be honest, that I should not have been in front of the vehicle in the first place like a moron. What I'll say about that, this is what I'll say about that, because this is going to get really politically charged. And I don't want anybody to feel like they're attacked in the channel for like expressing their opinion. Here's my opinion. She was parked in the road for 4 minutes. Parked. At that point, her vehicle is stationary. So because of that, her vehicle is stationary. Now, walking in front of a stationary vehicle is not typically considered a threat. Where I'll say that there's a conversation, and I will agree with you, Night Owl, is there are certain rules and regulations for law enforcement that say that in an instance, you should not place yourself in front of a vehicle. Okay? Like, you shouldn't do it. And it is better to allow a vehicle to leave, right? To flee, and then pick them up later. Like, that is the standard operating procedure. Right? But I think that in this case, so I'll agree with you, right? So we've agreed on that. But what I will say is, in this case, the law enforcement officer, like, I'm not going to go back to the video. Here's what I'll say. Okay? File new. Don't save. This is what I'll say. And we can agree to disagree. That's fine if you want to agree to disagree, like, you know, after the fact. Here's what I'll say. This was the road. Okay? This was the road. Good morning, Tabrea. This was her car. I'm just going to use a brush. This was her car. Her car was like blocking the road like this. Okay? Her car's blocking the road like this. There was, I think this was an Immigrations and Customs official vehicle here. And then this is where the other Immigrations and Customs official vehicle pulled up, right? Like the truck. So this man had got out, right? This man had got out of his car. These people were not on scene yet. He got out of his car, and he started filming. He walked around the car one time, and this is when she was like, I don't have a problem with you, blah, 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 right? He walked around the car. He's filming, films the license plate, runs into her husband or whatever. Back here, this person starts yelling, right? This person starts yelling, calling this man all sorts of names. When this happens, he's on the back side of the car. He starts walking this way. This vehicle pulls up, and these people start to get out of the vehicle. At this point, he is already back here, and he cannot see what's happening here or see that these people are approaching, right? So then at this point, he is looping back around the vehicle. These people are approaching, and they're saying, stop, 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 get out of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle, right? That is what's happening. So at this point, he's like here when all this is happening. He walks from here to here, and within 1 second, her car goes from park to going forward, and he shoots her. That all happens in 1 second. 1 second. That is insanely fast. So, should he have been in front of the car? You could argue that he shouldn't have. Was he filming the vehicle? And was she parked? Yes. Can you stand in front of a parked vehicle? That is the question. But at this point, she is actively in the process of being detained. And she elected to back the car up and then try to go forward, knowing full well that there was a human being in front of her vehicle. And when you see the footage, like, she can physically see the guy standing in front of her car. You are in the process of being detained and you decided to flee. That was the risk you took. And when you decided to flee, you physically hit a law enforcement officer. Like, these are, like, there's no emotion in what I just said. There is no. Red Among Us, little dude, that's sus. He's a sussy baka. There's no emotion in what I just said. Because these are just facts. Should the officer have discharged his weapon? That is the conversation. And you can have that conversation. And lawyers will discuss that and debate it until they're blue in the face. But at the end of the day, this is what happened. And there are numerous camera angles that reinforce this narrative. And because of that, I am willing to bet that legally this man is okay. Oh, because it's red and not blue? Oh, fuck. There, did I fix it? There. Blue now. Should be identified for treason. If you can find people doing that, then that's perfectly fair. I think so. So that is my view on it, Night Owl. And I think that there is a conversation. He was barely tapped. But what's happening in that conversation isn't gonna matter legally. Right? Because what I just said was in my view, these are the facts. And in this situation, it happened. She didn't have to go forward. Because more than likely, let's be 100% honest. More than likely, if she wouldn't have tried to drive off, these guys would have came up, they would have told her to get out of the car, they would have screamed at her, she would have locked her door, they would have ran up. They might have pulled her out of the car, they might not have. But at the end of the day, she'd still be alive. And there's a good chance, posting the memes for safekeeping, I appreciate you, she would still be alive. And they might have pulled her out of the car, or they might not have. It depends. Like if they came on there, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. And they ran up and they tried to open the door and they couldn't open the door and she didn't just drive off. And she was like, hey guys, I'm sorry. Like my hands are up. I'm sorry, man. Like I was just trying to protest. Like I'm not trying to actively hurt anybody. I'm sorry, you know, I'll stop. Right? And she probably would have been able to go home and see her kids. Maybe she would have got pulled out of the car. Maybe they would have put her in cuffs. Maybe she would have got questioned. Like, would she have been uncomfortable sitting in the snow? I mean, there's a chance. There's a huge chance that would have happened. But she would have went home. That is my view on this. And we've talked about this numerous times. I don't actually think it's her fault. Good morning, Sprit. I actually don't entirely think... Exactly, Treya. I don't entirely think this is her fault. We watched a video earlier of like some other mentally unstable person. I think, and people disagreed with me on my video I put on YouTube, I honestly think she was afraid. She was afraid for her life because she sees people getting out of a vehicle and everybody has told her that these are Nazi death squads, that these are like fascists coming out to step on her throat. So she believes she's engaging in the moral right thing, which is to protect people who she believes are being persecuted. So she genuinely believes that she's in the right. But she's deathly afraid of these people, so in her mind, she thinks they're coming to kill her. So she freaked out. The problem is the people who say that and are convincing these people that is the truth, those are the people that need to be held to account. That's my view on it. That's my view on it. But I respect and understand your point of view, Night Owl, right? And I can understand what you're saying, and I can understand the sympathy that you have, and I can understand how this is an emotionally charged issue, and it is very easy to see it as like a tragic loss of life that shouldn't happen, and to feel bad for somebody that lost their life, and to feel bad for like a child that's never going to see their mother again. I get all of that, but I'm trying to look at it as pragmatic as possible. You don't see her the same as that Karen wench? You don't think so? And maybe not, guys. Maybe I'm giving her too much liberty, right, Thebe? Like maybe you guys are right. Maybe I'm giving her way too much liberty on this, and I'm like, you know, I'm like she definitely like was like scared and all that. Maybe she wasn't. And maybe I'm like just being too liberal with it, but that's, I mean, that's what I see. Oh, you mean the sanity? Oh, I gotcha. I just don't understand. If you know law enforcement it can be trigger happy, why would you actively put yourself in a situation with officers that have a loaded weapon and are actively on duty? Because you're being told that they can't do anything. These people are actively being told that these law enforcement officers can't do anything because you're not there for an immigration issue. They're a federal officer. They have no jurisdiction. They can't enforce state and local laws. They can only enforce immigration laws, and they're doing it illegally. They can't shoot you. They can't arrest you. They can't interact with you. They can't stop you. They can't hold you. They can't detain you. All they can do is walk around and let you bully them. And that's what politicians and pundits are telling these retarded people online, and they're fucking believing it. And I'm not like, this isn't a referendum, because I know Night Owl is, again, like Night Owl's on like a little different like viewpoint here. And I'm not calling Night Owl retarded, but I'm not saying like people that mentally support this in like a system of like moral good or bad. I'm saying the people that are actively going out there and putting themselves in harm's way and just think that there is no repercussion or that there is no legal justification for it to happen, right? Because there's a difference between being like disagreeing with me and being like, well, let the courts sort it out. That's perfectly fine. That is a very rational stance and stand. Like, that's a very rational viewpoint. It's the other one that is the problem, right? Like, most of the Karens we've seen are obviously unstable. I think this person seems scared, but not being like generally unstable. I think you're right on that. I think this person was scared. I don't think they were as like unstable as some of the other people I've seen. I've seen some wild fucking people online, to the point where I don't know if people are actually being genuine or if they're just doing it for TikTok memes or likes. I mean, I understand ICE has a duty, but where's the line they can or cannot cross? The line that ICE cannot cross is ICE is there to enforce federal law. They can't arrest you for a traffic stop. They can't arrest you like if they like walk and see like jaywalking or assault or something like that. They can't do anything because they're not there as like a police officer to enforce state and local laws. The only thing they're there to do is to enforce federal immigration laws. That's why they can't kick in doors. They can't like enter a residence. It's private property because they don't have jurisdiction. They don't have warrants. They don't have all of that. But if you interfere with a federal investigation, an ongoing federal investigation, that is breaking a federal law. Now they can interact with you. So if like they're if you're protesting and they're walking into a building and you're sitting around like blowing a whistle, yelling and saying like, oh my God, there's ICE out here. Like, don't open your door. Don't open your door. Is that interfering? Yes. But like, are you going to get arrested for that? Probably not. Like nobody's going to get arrested for that, right? That's considered like peaceful protest, even though it's like literally on a razor's edge of being peaceful protest or like of being a protest. It's like on the razor's edge. But I think if you like stop your car in the middle of the road and prevent them from moving forward, and you are actively blocking traffic, and you are actively stopping them from doing their job, and you are putting other people's lives at risk, now you get arrested. Line of jurisdictions are so misunderstood nationwide. It's insane how misconstrued this is, right? Because we've talked about it before. Like, you can't, like, the FBI doesn't just show up when a crime happens. The FBI has to be invited by locals, right? The Secret Service, when they show up, when the president shows up, the Secret Service coordinates with state and local law enforcement to ensure that they are legally welcomed into the state and that the state supports them. Sometimes begged by locals. Exactly. So people take the ambiguity, or people take the misunderstandings that people have, they distill it down and they try to explain it in a way that they can obfuscate the reality, but manipulate you into doing what they want you to do. There's too much NCIS on TV. Yeah. Yep. It's the same with the people. The line they cannot cross when dealing with situations. Why add more fuel to the fear about what you don't know? I get all that. I mean, I understand ICE has its duty, but where's the line they can't cross? I think we talked about that. Torres says, I think they'll come to their senses when someone does something really bad, when they should have been detained for it in the first place. I would like to say that you're right, but I fear that you're wrong, Tora. Because they will find a way to twist the narrative to blame the other side for it through like oppression. Oh, this person has been in the country illegally, but because of federal funding and budget cuts, they no longer have any money, because they don't gain access to like welfare and food stamps and like federal housing and subsidized housing and a cell phone. So because of that, they're basically living like a caged animal out on the street. They have no prospects. They have no life. They have nothing to do. Their life is like in such a bad spot that the only thing they had like left available for them was to go in and rob a store. And the person, instead of just giving them the money that they were coming in to go for, put up a fight. And because of that, they had no choice but to discharge their weapon, because at the end of the day, they had to do what was best for their family. And they'll completely disregard the family or the life or the person that was there trying to do their job or do something legally. And they'll twist it around to try to make you feel bad for that person. That is what'll happen. And the reason I say that, no meme, is because that's already what happens. Right? Like, no meme, that's already what happens. I think it's gonna happen. Who is that? Who is that, Tor? I don't know who that is. The kids posting on TikTok are so unhinged. There's no coming back. Some of these people, they're so enraged. Oh, the vids, not the kids. Yeah, dude, some of these videos are fucking out there. Here's the deal. We did this to ourselves. We elected people in office that didn't take their oath of the office serious. There's a group of populations that wants to see the demise of America. And what's worse is the media is standing behind the narrative. You can look at it as like a political thing or a political football or like as a pundit. I think that the current political climate escalated after Obama got elected. After Obama got elected, things were very much us versus them. It's not what we're about, it's what we're against. And then what we're against became a very effective tool to rally the base. And since then, it's just, what are we against? What are we against? What are we against? But now with the internet, with cell phones and everything being so prevalent, it's very easy to capture moments to try to make them viral and to try to force situations where you can demonize the other side, and you can do it very easily. So now it's all about getting gotcha moments to show what the other side is against and to constantly do that back and forth. Because fear is a better motivator, and that's what I think people are doing. Like, no partisan, like me just taking the partisan like ship out of it. I genuinely think that's what's going on. Now, you could go back and say it happened here, or this person, or I disagree with this person politically, or I disagree with Obama, or I disagree with Trump's first administration, or I disagree with like Trump as a whole, but I agree with like Republicans, or I disagree with Biden or Obama as a whole, but I'm a Democrat. But I think the divisiveness and the vitriol and the us versus them mentality has made things worse. And then the internet has allowed people to like self-isolate and find likes so much easier. So now you can get people in these like very extreme pockets, but they can find people together and they embolden each other, and they insulate themselves in a world that is like a safe space to where the only opinions they hear are theirs, and any other opinion is null and void, and they don't even have to hear it. So then they create a narrative in this story where they're the main character, and then they just kind of act and do whatever they want, and then it just gets more extreme because it's all about likes on the internet, right? You left Democratic Party, that wasn't what I voted for. I get that. At the end of the day, if people want change, they need to vote the officials out. Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day in the US, if you don't like what's happening, you vote. You vote for one side or the other, and that's all that matters, right? I disagree that it was after Obama was elected. We started 9/11, which was 7 years before Obama. I won't disagree with you there, Terea. I would say 9/11. Here's what I'll say. And we can agree to disagree on this. I will agree with you that it was before Obama. And maybe I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't know. Maybe we'll discuss that. I do think that it could have had something to do with Bush, but I don't think it was necessarily right at 9/11. I think it was post 9/11. Because I think when 9/11 happened, you basically rallied the entire country in support of 9/11 and in support of going after Afghanistan. I think when it changed to going after Iraq, you started to see some divisiveness between left and right, because some people started spinning it that it was like it was a my daddy war and it was a war for oil. And then I think the longer the Iraq war drug on, the more you had people mad about the Iraq war, and then it just compounded. And then it compounded with like the housing crisis. There are like a bunch of things that all compounded. I would be willing. Yeah, you immediately had division between those that supported Afghanistan. See, and that's where I said, like, we can always agree to disagree. That's the best part about my channel. I think that overwhelmingly, and again, Leon, you guys, you and Terea and everybody, you can disagree with me. I think that overwhelmingly there was support for retaliation on Afghanistan. There might not have been support for war, but there was support for a retaliatory strike on Afghanistan. I personally think it was when it became about Iraq, because it made no sense. Like, in theory, it made no sense to go after Saddam Hussein. And that was like, people were like, okay, he's just trying to finish daddy's war. But we can agree to disagree. What happened in Afghanistan? Nothing. That was the problem. A war for oil. We kicked out the Taliban to put the Taliban back in charge. Like, it was a 20-year war of like funneling money into defense contractors and replacing the Taliban with the Taliban. There was a lot of support for retaliation, so they spoke about it openly. Yeah. But yeah, so I'll actually concede that it was before Obama. I'll concede it was before Obama. Yeah, have a funny story about that. I bet you do, Zell. That's my thought on it, chat. You guys can always tell me if I'm wrong, like, right? Because I do enjoy like having good conversations. And I do think it's nice to be able to like say when you're wrong, right? You think Steve from Gamer Nexus? Send it to me if you think about it, to where I put it in reaction. Even if I don't react to it, I might watch it while I'm like making dinner, taking a walk, and just listen to it. Oh, it was fun for your unit. Afghanistan, I don't want to talk about. If any of you guys were combat vets during Afghanistan, then you know what happened. People that weren't combat vets during the push in 2001 won't know what happened. But if you were a combat vet that was there for the push in Afghanistan in like 2001, you know what happened, and it wasn't a good thing. Like, there were definite overreaches. There were war crimes. Like, there was a lot of bad shit that happened. A lot of it came out on the news, but not near as much as what happened. That was a bad spot. We really didn't do ourselves any favor in that region. I knew soldiers. I was in basic in 2001. And I talked to soldiers that were coming back in like Fort Benning. The shit that they said they were doing over there wasn't okay. But, you know, yeah, that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to like cast aspersions on that war. But yeah, it was a different time. Obama was the induction of socialism to America. It's not as publicized at the time, but look at history. I mean, I think that Fort Benning, land of the best. There you go. I think that, I mean, like, wasn't it like Teddy who did like Social Security and Medicare and all that? I mean, that was the start of socialism. I agree with some other people that I've heard talk about it. I don't think that the US can survive on pure capitalism or like pure socialism. I think that you need a mix of both, and you need a healthy mix of both, and it needs to be managed and moderated properly. I just don't think it has been. And I think certain things have been demonized in a way that's not healthy. But I also think there's a certain level of socialism that has been proposed that is also not healthy, right? Honestly, feel the economy wasn't so bad. I mean, the economy is always the driving factor. If people feel like their basic needs aren't met, then everything else doesn't matter to them, right? Like if you feel like you don't have money, you don't have savings, you don't have prospects, you don't have food, you feel like you don't have the amount of money you need, you're living paycheck to paycheck, that is always going to create division, and that is always going to push people to act out. Like 100%. Times are hard. It really doesn't take much. No, man. Well, when you've already got dry tinder laying there, right? Like all it takes is a spark. That is like the biggest issue, right? Boys, think I'm gonna get more coffee. What time is it? We've only been an hour and a half in, and I feel like we're making pretty good time, honestly. We got an hour and a half. This still kills me. This still kills me. They called her an elderly woman. We're gonna listen to this clip. I just hate it because she's so quiet. Did you see this, Treya? This fucking clip, elderly woman gets scolded. Elderly woman gently scolds a loud Twitch streamer at Target. This is Rakai. This is the elderly woman. A fucking 30-year-old black woman is now considered elderly. Dude, my response to the other tweet on this was I need to go buy a fucking coffin. I'm basically 1 foot in the grave if this is considered elderly. Jesus Christ. No way. You guys need to vent or walk talk? Yeah, you can always jump over. Did you see? No, I didn't. I didn't get a chance to see it. Trey, you take too good a care of me. Before I go get coffee, I want to talk about something really quick before I go get coffee. And maybe it'll matter, maybe it won't. Maybe it'll resonate with some of you guys, maybe it won't. I was watching Asmon's 24/7 stream. Okay, he has a 24/7 channel. I was watching it because there was nobody else to watch, right? I was editing. I'm gonna go full cam on this, and then I'll go get coffee. So so anyway, I was watching his stream, and he used to have somebody in his stream called McConnell. McConnell was like seemingly like one of his best friends from like IRL, right? Like McConnell just sat in his Discord, like he was there all stream, and like Asmon would just talk. And he would ask McConnell questions. McConnell would like speak up. McConnell seemed to be like his main mod at the time. But McConnell like didn't, McConnell was there to help Asmon, but he didn't like take over the show. He was there all the time though. Yeah, McConnell and Asmon fell out. McConnell was really pissed. Because basically Asmon just ignored him. Right? So I watched Asmon talking about it because he talked about it when he was playing WoW Classic. And basically what it boiled down to is Asmon was talking about his stream and how streaming effectively like ruined his life and his friendships. And he had said that he had spent, at that point he was like, I've spent the past 2 years only streaming, focusing on my stream and working on my stream. Every moment is at my PC. If I'm not at my PC, I'm working on it, right? Like I don't do things, don't go out, I don't talk to people, don't socialize, I don't Discord, I don't do anything. And that was back when Asmon was like Asmon Gold, like I think it was before he was Zach. So he was doing like 30-40K streams to like people just watching him play WoW. And he was talking about it, and he was like, he's like I don't regret it because it's like I'm happy to be where I am and this is where I want to be. He's like, but do I regret like hurting some people and losing some friendships over it? And he's like, I do. He's like, but at the end of the day, this is just what he had to do to make it big in the space. And it sucked because I could watch him say that. And as like a streamer or a content creator, I knew exactly what he was going through. Because like when you're a streamer, when you're a content creator, people don't realize, people think it's just some easy gig, easy job. You're just sitting there playing games all day, you're sitting there talking all day. Unless you're a mega streamer, like people don't realize the amount of effort that goes behind trying to find things to talk about, trying to find games to play, trying to be interesting, trying to be engaging, trying to be entertaining, in an ever like diverse and increasing population where more and more people are entering the space, more people are using YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and all these other things to like try to like vary themselves. So your whole life is like, if you're not streaming, you're trying to find things, you're trying to work on things, you're doing shorts, you're doing TikToks, you're doing clips, you're editing, you're recording, and it basically takes your whole life. Like I spend about 12 to 14 hours a day working. There are days where I get burnt out and I back down and I'm just like, I have to sit down and like watch a show or something with like Rusty. But for the most part, I spend like 12, 14 hours a day working every day. And people don't see it, and it does suck because it does actually take a toll on you, your life, and your friends and your friendships. And it sucks to see it happen. You think that's true for most entrepreneurs? I don't think that it's exclusive to the streaming space, but I do think that streamers feel it acutely because you are basically an entrepreneur, right? You are trying to set up a business and trying to figure out what you're doing. So like for me, a lot of times, like it's not even that I'm sitting down recording, like I'm trying to come up with ideas, I'm trying to come up with strategies, I'm trying to evaluate my channel, I'm trying to evaluate what's going on. You know, what is the best, what isn't the best, what is the best way to do this, is this working, isn't working? Like you're constantly like evaluating and reevaluating, so it's definitely tough. But I saw that the other day and I saw him talk about it live, and it just it hit me so hard because I was like, I know exactly what this man's talking about. Because as like a viewer, like for like your favorite channels, there are a lot of things that you just don't realize what's going on. But to like see him talk about it when he was like having that fallout with McConnell, it just, I was like, damn, dude, I feel this. Like, I feel this so bad. And it sucks because you feel bad. Like, I feel bad for McConnell because McConnell, like, lost Asman. But I feel bad for Asman because Asman lost McConnell, right? Asman, you know, McConnell's like, dude, I just want to hang out with, like, my best friend. And Asman's like, dude, I just need my best friend to hold out while I try to make this work, right? It's just tough. Anyway, let me go get coffee, and then we're going to move on to some other stuff. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. All right, what'd I miss? Just make sure Rusty gets her smooches and hugs for her putting up with all your working. She takes care of me. Slowly trying to crawl out of my shell to keep myself isolated, but every now and then I try to leave my room to watch TV with the others. Still have a long road to go. Just dealing with shit, Night Owl. Just dealing with like being hyper introverted and shit. It's always tough, especially if you have issues, either physical or mental, or just trying to put yourself out there. If you've like isolated or insulated yourself and you're trying to like spring back to it, especially if you're like agoraphobic or something like that, like it can be really tough. It's mental for you. Well, hopefully we do what we can here on the stream to help you out. Because like I said, you'll come here and obviously we'll get in disagreements, we'll get in debates. We're not always going to agree with each other. You'll get in disagreements with chat, but at the end of the day, like, everybody's fine to talk about whatever they want. I'll normally let people like go at each other for a while. I'll step in if I feel like it's getting too out of hand, but I think it's good to be challenged. I think it's good to have other people challenge you. I won't let my chat devolve into like people just calling each other like retards and names and stuff. But if you guys like, you know, if you guys want to have debates about stuff, I'm all fine for that. Because I think it's good. It's good and it's healthy to have conversations. And that's something that's just been taken away from people. People just don't have conversations anymore. So, regardless of the industry, when work consumes you, life becomes extremely rough. No, absolutely. I just have allergies. I'm allergic to assholes and idiots. There are way too many of those in public. I feel that. That's why I don't go out in public, right? All right, boys. This right here. You call that a lot. I get that. And I know it's not your favorite word. I think that this is what I'll say, Night Owl. Take this however you want. To me, if somebody actually, like, you know, treated somebody with a mental issue, like mental health issue, and called you like retarded, and they said it as a derogatory slang based on your like handicap, that's mean, that's wrong, and that's cruel. The way I view it, and the way I hope that you'll learn to view it, because I don't think it's going away in society, is view it as the R word for black people, and just kind of take it back. Because when people say the word retarded colloquially, they don't actually mean to disparage people who are mentally handicapped. Most people would actually agree that that's rude. And most people would never call somebody that was mentally handicapped retarded. At least not in any, unless they were trying to like be edgy. Most people mean it as like an extreme version of an idiot. But I can understand how like you might have like deep-seated like, you know, mental scarring from it. But what I can say, and hopefully you take it to heart, is to try to not view it through that lens and try to change your perception and mentality around the word, and it will help you feel more sane, and it will help you not feel inadvertently victimized, right? But at the end of the day, you do what you need to do, right? And I use the word. I don't use it a lot, but I do use it. Nope, certain words are just bad in your opinion, and that's allowed to be your opinion, because I think Sprit doesn't like the word either. But like I say it, Asmund says it, about everybody on the internet says it. But I viewed the word differently in the fucking 90s and 2000s because it meant something different, right? I think words are just words, and words are only given power by people. So if you take people's ability to hurt you away from them by not allowing the word to have power, then that's empowering you instead of empowering somebody trying to hurt you. Right? Because what somebody's trying to do is somebody's trying to exert force or influence or power over you, and they're trying to hurt you with words. Well, if you take away their ability to do that by realizing that it's just a word, and the only reason it has like some sort of like negative influence or power over you is because you allow it to, then you can sort of like learn. It's not fast, but you can learn to sort of dismiss it. Because in every aspect of life, people will revert to trying to mentally harm you in a discussion when they feel like their side is losing, or they feel like they want to actively hurt you, but they have no way to do it through logic. Right? Word value and word meaning change is how language evolves. Yeah, as a homeschool parent, a lot of parents in the community have children with disabilities. I can understand how hurtful words can be. Absolutely. I don't know. That's just my view. It's my view and opinion. As a content creator, I have to have super thick skin because people call me names all day. You know what I mean? Go to my YouTube comments. See people call me all sorts of names. Fucking say all sorts of mean shit. I don't know. I can't let every fucking idiot on the internet dictate how I feel about myself. Just because you hate yourself, just because you weren't loved enough by your fucking mom or your dad, just because you were dropped on your head as a kid, right? Just because other people bullied you, just because you have self-worth problems, just because you have a micro penis, right? Like, none of these things matter to me. And I'm not going to let you bring that bullshit into my fucking circle and then make me feel like a bad person, right? You're not going to come in here and make me feel like a bad person because you have fucking self-esteem problems. That's not my fucking problem. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. I was called names as a kid. Now I don't care what people use. Only words have power if you allow it to affect you. Exactly, Loco. In 71 years, I've been called everything imaginable. what I hate the most is being called late for dinner. Exactly. It is a very learned thing. I think that people, like, I grew up, when I was younger, I love Cat Williams' bit about self-esteem, dude. Cat Williams is fucking crazy. Dude, I love my comedians. I love comedians, even if I don't always agree with their politics or their stances on everything, dude. The ability to use comedy to diffuse situations is amazing for me. When I was younger, I was a little freak. Like, I went to a Catholic school when I was like a really little kid. And then like a bunch of bad shit happened in the Catholic school, so we went to public schools. So I went from being like this like little rednecky kid to being shoved in a public space. And it was a real shock to my system, so I just like became introverted. Started wearing like little freak goth clothes, like hung out with those kids, listened to Insane Clown Posse, like wore all black, like wore fucking eyeliner shit. I made fun of all time as a kid. But the only saving grace was like my sister was a cheerleader, my stepbrother was a basketball player, so everybody knew me. So like people would make fun of me, but I knew everybody. It was like this weird situation where you would get made fun of, but everybody liked you. It was fucking weird. Anyway, so I've been called names forever, but eventually you just learn that it just doesn't matter, because like you'd see somebody call you a name and then you'd see how shitty their life is in the background. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Your dad beat you. Sure, fine. I don't care. Go home and have your dad beat you. Like, I'm going to go home. My parents are going to be okay with me, right? You miss watching comedians. Dude, I saw Ricky's latest special. It was a little short, man, but I liked it. It's esteem, you motherfucking self. Well, it's the truth, though. It's simple. Like, why you let people... No, it's truth, right? You get called motherfucker a lot. I fucked my fair share, exactly. Welcome to life, boys. All right, we're gonna watch this one video. I'm not gonna go through any more Twitter stuff. We're gonna try to knock out a couple of videos. We're definitely watching the Bellular video today for sure. Because I want to play some games here in a little bit. So, this is what I want to talk about. This is how when a law enforcement officer approaches you, this is how you're supposed to act. Right? This is how you do this. Not the way these like entitled people do that you see online. This is 100% how you're supposed to do this. Ready?
Officer, just gotta say, I'm a CPO holder. Okay. Firearm in here. It's right there, like down there.
Okay. You got your driver's license?
Yes, sir.
Your CPO real quick?
Yeah.
You know why I'm pulling you over there?
For what?
You know what the speed limit is on Michigan Avenue?
So, right up front, guy pulls up, hands are off the wheel, hands are kind of up. Cop walks up, windows already down. First thing he says is, man, I have a license permit to carry a firearm and it is in this vehicle. Just letting you know that it is in here. Cop, perfectly fine with it. It's like, hey, you say it's fine, it's fine. Give me your license. Give me your carry permit. This is exactly how you should handle this. Don't fucking fight. Don't argue. Don't be combative. Don't ask why you're being stopped. Don't like leave your window up. Don't start pushing back. Just, hey man, what can I do to make your life easier? You make this cop's life easier, your life is about to be easier.
45?
40? You were doing 54.
Yeah, I was doing 54?
Yeah, especially when you went around that car to pass me. You got any insurance on the car, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right there, he asked him what he was doing. He said, man, I don't know. I don't know why you pulled me over. Do you know how fast you were going? Or do you know what the speed limit is here? It's 45. No, it's 40. Okay. How fast were you going? I don't know, man. Obviously fast enough for you to pull me over. He says you're doing 54 and a 45. So typically if you're doing 9 over, you're probably not going to get, well, he said especially when you pass that vehicle, which means he sped up, right? But like, I'm just going to say, like, in theory, most people will go like 4 to 9 over, depending on where you're at. Like the interstate, most people will go like 9 over. On the interstate, like in highway, like in like local driving, you might go like 4 over. You want to stay under like that 5 or that 10. So if he thought he was doing 40, he probably thought he was okay. You know, if he thought it was a 45, he's doing okay. If it was 40, he's not okay anymore, right? But the limit is the limit. Yep. But it's one of those things where most people won't, like, you won't normally, this is one of those like gray areas where you can bend the law and most people aren't going to like, right? Like most people aren't going to like mess with you too much. It's when you like, break bend a law to the point where it breaks.
Just in the glove box.
Yeah, can I see it real quick?
The registration. Actually, the insurance is on my phone.
Okay. Why don't you pull it up on the phone for me? Let me go check a few things with the driving record, and I'll be right back.
All right, bet. I got the insurance too. You still
Yeah, got it right quick.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you the car my mom named too. So it feels like.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I did write you a ticket. I gave you 1 to 5 over rather than the 14 over you're doing.
See that? Look, everything went 5. Look, dude, I'm going to write you a ticket. We're going to slow it down. I'm going to say you were going 5 over, not 15 over. You're still going to get in trouble. You're still in trouble. But I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to write you the lower ticket. It's not going to be as bad on your insurance and stuff like that, right? Like, look how easy this goes when you just do what you're supposed to do. Hey, ticket for 5 over is better than a ticket for 15 over. Right? I mean, he could have gave him a warning, but still, a ticket for 5 over probably doesn't cost you anything. Probably not going to really ding your insurance that bad. You know.
Maybe a little bit of a break on that, all right? You just gotta make sure you take care.
What's up, officer? Just got to.
Most definitely, that's a huge difference. Like 15 over is like reckless driving, isn't it? Or is it 25 is reckless? I can't. It's like 15 or 25 over is reckless. So 15 is reckless. So yeah, he really helped him out because reckless driving would have ratcheted his insurance up through the roof. Right? 15 would have been like, you're not going to have a good day. He was only 14. He could write 15 on the ticket. Were you going to argue with him? You know what I mean? Just showing that this is the best. This was like the best case scenario, right? My goal here was that, like, if you just do what you're supposed to do, these people aren't going to make your life hell, right? Like, he doesn't want to make this man's life hell. He wants to give him his fucking ticket, give him his warning, and just go about his day. Best case scenario would have been a warning. Okay, second best case scenario. How about that? Second best case scenario. This was second best case scenario. Similar story, got a truck from your grandfather when he passed. It did the title transfer online. A couple months later, I got pulled over. Cop was fully within his rights, had my vehicle towed and pounded. But I was cool with him, he was cool with me. Cleaned it up the day after. It was all good, not even a ticket. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, these guys don't want to have a bad day. They don't want to have a bad interaction with you. Whoever goes to work wanting to have a shitty day? Like, who woke up? You know, who wakes up and they're like, you know what I want to do? I want to go to work. I want to have an uphill struggle. I want to fight and argue with bitches every day. I want to get in confrontations. I want to worry that somebody might pull a gun on me. Right? This is what I do. I want that every day. I wake up every day and I'm like, I chose violence. Nobody, other than streamers, Torreya, do that, right? Like, nobody wakes up and is just like, I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna glue this giant cactus dildo on my chair and just sit on it every day when I get there. Like, nobody does that, right? So, like, treat people with respect and they'll treat you with respect. Every day you wake up wanting to get punished, well, that's a different problem, Night Owl. That's a completely different problem. I know people like that. So I tell myself every day, you're a fucking sadist then, Leon. Kinky? I'm fine with that. I don't know. I don't kink shame unless you're a furry or a feet weirdo. Today I'm going to ruin people's days because they're going to ruin mine. See, you're proactively being a shit. I see how it is. I got a 24-year-old kid that works for me. He wakes up every morning thinking up ways to piss you off. That sounds like a kid, hell. That sounds like a kid who works for you. This is called respect. This officer's doing his job. Should be treated with respect. There's no issue here. Guy was doing everything legally. Yeah, and I mean, like, transparently, this kid broke the law, right? Like, he was speeding. So, like, could he have got a warning? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I mean, he still got in trouble, right? This is Chicago? Holy shit. I didn't realize that was a Chicago PD. I mean, I wasn't looking at the badges. Now this is how you act. See? I mean, everybody here is like, dude, look, easy peasy, super simple. This is the way things go. This is the way it should be. Like, nobody's got anything crazy to say about this. Chicago. They're both lucky to be chill. Oh yeah, for this man here in Chicago, dude, to not have a bad day. Like, we take that. Michigan Avenue, that's Chicago. Fucking Dave Chappelle, I love it. That's how you do it? Yeah. I mean, it's what it boils down to. All right, this is the last tweet I'm going to deal with. I'm not going to deal with the Ilion. Well, we'll talk about this. We'll watch this. I'm not going to spend much time on this. I just watched Sim streamer say 2026 years she's going to get her anger across by being increasingly passive aggressive to everyone she doesn't like. Dude, that's Lamau. That's Lamau. I'm going to talk about this really quick. Okay? Disabled woman, a disabled woman who has to, all right, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to try to not read this like fucking a 2-year-old. A disabled woman who has to use a breathing tube posted online supporting ICE agents for the work they do. The liberal with 125K followers made a video in response of him cutting her breathing tube with a sound effect of a flatlined heart rate. We are not the same. All right, let's watch this. Actually, dude, this dude, I'm gonna have to turn the because like a lot of these people like use audio that you can't like put on YouTube, so yeah, can't really use that. So basically, it's her clapping, right? And then here it is. Let's turn this up for the flat line. Do you know what I think about this? My thought on this, 100%, shut the fuck up, dude. It's a joke. This is an absolute joke. If you cannot deal with a little bit of pushback and humor on the internet, even if it's not from your side, you just lost the ability to be online. How can you even, like, to me, how can you even pretend to be offended by this? Can we normalize not wishing death on people that don't agree with you? See, like, to me personally, I take this purely satirical. So, like, for me, I personally take this purely satirical. I don't find any reason to be offended. If you guys feel differently, that's on you. But, like, to me, this is satire. I view this no different than, like, Ricky Gervais saying something edgy, or Cat Williams saying something edgy, or Dave Chappelle saying something edgy. You have no words on that video? Yeah. Hey, maybe I am the one that is wrong here, but to me personally, it's a joke. This doesn't do anything to me. I see it. I laugh. I look up. Oh, it's the other side. Whatever. I don't care. It's still funny. Still funny to me. Like, I don't know. It's just funny. To me, it's funny. To me, it's funny. Jokes are funny. Jokes are meant to be funny. They're meant to be edgy. They're meant to get you thinking. They're meant to demonstrate a point. It doesn't matter. I love when people have different opinions. I think I'm smarter than some. When they have wrong opinions, it confirms it for me. Yeah. This is not a call. It's a scroll by moment. Yeah. But like this right here. Yeah. And then you can see everybody's takes on it. Why are leftists so demonic? You know what I mean? Like, they're sick, indeed. This is evil incarnate. They constantly show us who they are. I'm not, like, for me, Dark Woke is back, baby. Such a violent, tolerant, communist behavior. Liberals do not value life, right? Like, you can see, like, a lot of people don't have my same take. A lot of people don't have my same take on this. I think it's humor. I think it's a joke. It doesn't bother me. So, I just saw that. I thought it was funny. World needs more shitters. People have gotten a little bit sensitive. Oh, yeah. This is not a call to crucify the jokester. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna mute the music for a second while we look at this. Like Tosh 2.0, it's our humor. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just humor. Like, to me, it's purely humor. If it was an actual call to violence, I would be much, much different, because I don't think I don't think that's covered under free speech. But if it's people joking about dumb shit, like, I personally don't care. Tosh, what did he say? Oh, that thing I was looking at was just about, like, the person was like bitching and he just like cut her like oxygen line or whatever. How many people would call it a joke if someone did it from the conservative side? Did it? Oh, absolutely. That's what I mean, Huggy. That's why I'm like, at the end of the day, I personally think it's a joke. If people want to be offended, they can be offended. But to me, it's just a joke. And I think people that are being like overly offended by it, it's definitely like performative to me. But if you're the kind of person that is offended on that, and then you would be offended if the other side did it, then that's on you, right? But to me, it's just a joke. All right, this is really, really, really quiet. Well, I say it's quiet. Rakai is loud as a motherfucker. But this lady here is very not loud. So basically, let me go back. So, quote unquote, elderly woman gently scolds a loud Twitch streamer in Target. During a live stream filled with curses and laughter and matching Spider-Man hoodies, the woman told Rakai, "Sweetheart, there are people watching. You already see how they perceive us," highlighting concerns over negative stereotypes for black people in public. This 30-second clip drew over 20,000 likes, with many praising her as a voice of reason, while others saw her tone as condescending. Rakai laughed it off without responding publicly. Amid his history of high-energy IRL streams that have built nearly 2 million followers, but have also led to Twitch bans. Nice to know I'm old, dude. They made it sound like she was geriatric. All right, let's check it out.
You know, there are people watching you right now, and I'm saying this as a mother. Please, because you understand where we are right now. We already see how they perceive us.
See, she's trying to be quiet, right? Like she's trying to like not cause like alarm to people around her. She's like, guys, calm down. Like, why are you being so freaking obnoxious?
Boy, wait, just please. This is a little dramatic, sweetheart.
Dude, oh, she definitely mom voiced him. Well, like, look, she's trying to have a normal conversation. And like within 0.2 of a second, this kid in the background's already fucking screaming. Like, can you not have a conversation that is like conversationally volumed, right? Like, can you not just talk? Why do you have to be that fucking obnoxiously loud? What up, Or?
For your mom. I know you're recording right now. But I'm gonna ask you to show up for your friends. We're doing this for content.
I'm listening. The best part is she has no fucking idea who these people are. She's like, I see you're recording. Make sure you show this to your friends. Like, she has no idea that Rakai is like one of the largest streamers on the platform, and probably like the most prolific young black man on Twitch, right? Like, she has no idea who this is. She just sees it as like some obnoxious, belligerent child who is trying to make clips for himself online, and she sees it as such a bad thing. It's funny to me.
Let her talk. You know, there are people watching you right now, and I'm saying this as a mother. Please, because you understand where we are right now. We already see how they perceive us. Boy!
Dude, I love that she fucking straight mom voices these kids too. It fucking made my day. Shame and humility go a long way to proper social etiquette, and they're dying. Well, because you can't act that way in public and offend people and get clips, right? Like, if you're not boisterous, annoying, loud, outspoken, obnoxious, then how are you going to get people to react to you doing those things so that you can call them names, you can criticize them, you can meme on them, you can use words and phrases that are coded in a way that only you and your group and your friends and certain generations understand that you're pushing back? How are you going to make all these meme-worthy moments where you can monetize other people being part of your main character syndrome life? You can't. You can't go out and just do normal things because normal things are boring and nobody wants to watch normal things. So you have to act a fool. And then when you act a fool, you're destroying society, but you don't care because you're making money and you don't care about any of the repercussions.
Wait! Just please. This is a little dramatic. Sweetheart. For your mom. Sweetheart, I know you're recording right now. But I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to show up for your friends. We're doing this for content.
I don't give a fuck. I know you don't give a fuck. It is obvious that you don't give a fuck about anybody else, anybody's feelings, what anybody wants. You don't care about other people. You don't care what's socially acceptable. You don't care about public perceptions. You literally don't care about anything but yourself. You're a selfish prick. So, have you ever one time just thought about just not being an asshole? Just for 5 minutes. Right? And you could be like, well, what right does she have to fucking approach these kids and here, like she's being like main character syndrome. These guys are doing whatever they want. It's a free country. It's a free society, blah, blah, blah. You can be as disingenuous as you want to argue about it. And you can try to paint this in any brush you want to try to drive your narrative. But at the end of the day, if you're being an obnoxious asshole in public, you should get called out on it. I don't understand when it became so acceptable to just not push back on people who are actively disrupting society. Like why we just allow people to act up and not have any repercussions. I don't understand when it happened, why it happened. Well, at the end of the day, if you act out in public, you subject yourself to direct public opinions. Yeah, you can be an absolute shitter, and that's okay. But somebody can't come up and have an opinion to tell you to shut the fuck up. They can absolutely do that, and you can argue and fight about it and whatever. And then if you create a scene in a public place and you're asked to leave, then you're asked to leave, right? Like if management asks you to leave, you're disruptive, then that's what happens, right? At a moment in public, while standing in line at Walmart, I heard someone saying, "Why are all these lines so damn long? You don't like it? Quit shopping here," without looking at the person complaining afterwards. They were quiet for the rest of the time. Oh yeah, people love like to be performative when they think they're going to get something for it.
Let her talk.
At least Rakai had enough content creator sense to know that his buddies here are pushing back and they don't care at all about Rakai's public image or what happens to Rakai's channel or his brand. And she is not being degrading or demeaning or mean to them. Plus, it's not like it's some white Karen coming up telling them what to do, right? This is somebody who is a part of their group, so you can't really play like some sort of weird like race card about it. And what happens here is if Rakai would have acted out and went like way over the top Rakai on this, he would have been seen really, really negative, and it would have changed public sentiment. So he knew that he needed to be careful in how he approached the situation, but his friends here do not have the same, you know what I mean, good sense to understand how to protect your brand, right? He got very lucky on this, and it was a good thing that he shut his fucking friends down. Yeah, they just don't have the same content creator mindset. He knew that in this situation, if this became a clip, which it was going to, if he went over the top, he would look bad. But in this situation, it looks like he's being mommed. And that's going to get more people to pay attention to what's going on. And it's going to generate a better conversation, right? But at the end of the day, I'm really tired of these like public nuisance streamers, these loud ass public like nuisances, and them just not being in trouble for it, them not getting any repercussions or not having anything bad. It's just so frustrating. These pranksters, mom's totally right. I don't understand how these pranksters feel safe annoying people. I mean, kids do this, and kids have always done it. Just chatting assholes, I'm over it. Like, we all did dumb shit as kids. Like, we all did dumb shit. Thank God, like, not everything was recorded. Maybe not everything was as over the top. We all did dumb shit as kids. But I feel like there's a difference between doing dumb shit because you were a kid and what is happening now, which is the monetization of doing dumb shit. So it just pushes people to the extremes. I'm a big fan of like personal accountability. And I don't think that I think that if you are somebody like Rakai, who's a younger guy, but has decided to interact on a more like large scale, which is like a Twitch platform, a YouTube platform, you're putting yourself out there. Well, now you're playing with the big boys, right? Now you're in business, right? You're playing with the big boys, right? Like you're playing with all the swinging dicks. You want to interject yourself in an adult business, that's fine. But you have to understand there are levels of accountability and things that are going to happen because you're playing in an adult space, right? You're out of the kiddie pool. That's fine. If you want to be out of the kiddie pool and you want to act like a kid, it's all good. But then don't all of a sudden, because the one that pisses me off is when these guys do dumb shit and then people come out of the woodwork and they're like, guys, they're just kids. Like everybody's just kids. Like calm down. Don't be so rough on these kids. You were a kid at one point in time. You did dumb shit. They're just kids doing dumb shit. Boys, you lost me.
Well, hello there.
What up, Prince? Boys, you fucking lost me on that. These guys have decided to enter into a space that is obviously above their weight class. If you want to be here, then you're going to get treated without kid gloves. You got out of the kiddie pool. You're in the big pool now. You better learn how to swim. And I am not going to like give you the benefit of the doubt and be like, oh, well, you know, these are just young guys. These are young kids, man. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Fuck that, dude. You mess up the same way as everybody else messes up. And if you mess up, then you got to deal with it, right? Dumb shit you did as a kid only ever affected me. That's what we were taught. Kids anymore aren't taught shit. Like, these kids just aren't taught shit anymore. Right? So. All right, boys. Let me go grab my soda. I think we're done with Twitter. We need some more trespassing and paying for damages charges. Absolutely. The best gluten-free orange scones right now with your fresh coffee. Got me on full send. Dude, scones sound really good. Scones do be sounding good. Big OnlyFans feud. Nunny. I bet that's a fun one to watch. I did dumber shit when I was younger. There's a line of like making excuses for kids and understanding it and not just being like an old man shaking your cane on your lawn. Like, get off my lawn, you damn dumb young fucking kids. Like, there's obviously like a level of just being like a cranky old ratchety ass old man. I'll accept what I am. But I think that I would care less if I knew people were being in trouble. Like, you want to do dumb shit? That's fine. Do your dumb shit. You get caught doing the dumb shit, you get in trouble. But now there's no getting in trouble for doing the dumb shit, and people are actively incentivized to do the dumb shit because they're trying to get paid off of it, and that's what pisses me off, right? Like, that is the part that I think like really triggers me the most. So let me go grab my soda, and then we'll watch this Bellular video. We're gonna try the Vera Dark video. We're gonna try it. We'll see if we can get through it, and then we'll move on. So give me a second, guys. I will be right back. right, boys, we're gonna do a snack. We're gonna do a little snacky snack, a little stinky snack really quick. Honestly, not that this really matters to most of you guys, but we are streaming. We are multi-streaming over on the other YouTube channel. If you guys are here, if you guys are hanging out on Twitch and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, definitely click on that link, get over there and subscribe. A lot of these conversations, we cut and we put on YouTube. So if you miss some of them, you miss a live stream, maybe you had to drop out, you were only able to hang out for 20 or 30 minutes and you want to catch up on some content, you can always get over there. It's a great place to find additional content. But we did set up the live stream over there. Can Rusty feed you? She can baby bird you. Need to set Teray up over there too. I need to set you up over there. I don't have you set up over there. But then again, I literally just set it up today, so I don't feel like anybody's set up over there. The good news is, it seems to be working okay. Obviously, we're not going to get a lot of people over there, but you know, over time we will, especially because it's a small YouTube channel. But I'm happy that it worked. I'm happy that the stream's going over there. Happy everything's over there fine. So pretty happy about that. Plus it just helps get my view hours up. It's like an easy way to get my view hours up. So we'll definitely do that. Time to push up the views. I approve. We're getting close. Where are we at? Oh, where are we at? Oh, somebody say anything dumb today? Here you go. Just like Asman, you love ICE, you love Trump, and you want war to see other people killed. Wow, that's a very delusional take. Probably take your meds. Wow. That was your takeaway? Wow. Wow. Wow, interesting take. I don't even like, it's like, do you push back on people on comments in YouTube? Like, do you troll them back? Like, what do you do? I don't know if I agree with that take. Yeah, I mean, like, you think I should just tell them to take their meds? If you're bored? I feel like I should just tell them to take their meds and move on, right? I just like... Yeah. Gifted subs. Oh, I need to start doing Contexto. I have it set up to try. I just need to mess with it. Right. I'll leave it alone. We'll deal with it. That can be a tomorrow deal with issue. Man, people are just fucking... don't feed your energy. I can do it during my half hour in the morning, right? That can be during my half hour in the morning, right? Because in the morning, I answer comments for a half hour. Damn, we're only at 3:03. We cannot get past that 3:03, man. Honestly, 3:03 is a pretty good number for today, given that we just hit 300 last night. So 3:03 is nice. I'll take it. I'll take it. YouTube's like a zoo. Never feed the trolls. It can be fun, though. Man, I'm running low on videos. I've got the RAM price. Seems like 304. Is it a 304 situation? Trolls bite back. That's okay. We'll shove them back under their bridge. They're getting emboldened to come out from under these bridges. We gotta stop these fuckers from coming out. We definitely want to stop troll breeding. Tell me what you know what 304 is. Pretend that I'm dumb. Actually, you don't really need to stretch very far for that. The only 304 I know of is like a spray. Isn't like 304 like a spray? I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me how dumb I am. We're going to finish our snack, and then we're going to jump into this. We're at least getting through 2 videos today. We have to get through some videos before we game. We have to get through videos before we game. Oh, look at something while I'm in here. There we go. Oh my god, really? No, I'm dumb, Trey. I'm dumb. Completely missed it. Oh, I see it now. Now that she points it out. All right. All right, bitches.
The suffering of generations must be endured to achieve our...
What was that on the volume? Let's turn this down. Those are millennial kids. Yeah, I'm old enough that I should have known, right? But all right, boys. So let me scroll this back up. All right, boys, let me scroll this back up. So for the past couple days, the news has been dominated by everything that's happening in Minneapolis and all of that. But it is time to watch some gaming videos, and Bellular has a new video out. And I've been trying to watch a Bellular video for like a week, and I've not been able to get it in. So Bellular came out with a new video. We're going to watch it out. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to go from there. Grid 4 is the greatest stainless. Dude, I used to know all that back when I was a machinist. Now I just don't know anything. All right, let's check it out. Son of a, there it is.
The suffering of generations must be endured to achieve our divine end. That is from the reveal trailer for Naughty Dog's next game. It's called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, and they printed this on a commemorative coin that they gave to their staff for 2025. And do you know what's really funny about this? It's not just a game thing, it's pretty much actually true, because functionally, that is the work ethic of Naughty Dog's leadership. And what we're going to dive into today is all of the reporting around just how much of a disaster it seems their internal game development has been. You see,
I'm curious to see what's going on here. A lot of these big AAA studios are just rife with issues, and I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it's the bureaucracy. I don't know if it is the culture. I don't know if it's the forced hirings. I don't know what actually has caused this problem, but almost every large studio right now is just floundering. And it's sad to see some of the greats just falling to their knees right now. And they're launching projects that have no prayer in hell of actually succeeding, but they have just committed so much money that they have to push it out anyway, even when they know it's going to fail, because you cannot go multiple years and not produce any games and just keep chalking up L's.
They just put their staff through nearly 2 months of big crunch, all to deliver an internal demo. And the thing is, the full game isn't even planned to release for years, which just makes us think, hang on a second, are you basically going to be crunching for years upon years to make any of this happen? You see, for years we've heard hell stories about...
I mean, honestly, that is a fair and valid criticism or concern. Why did you have to go through an insane crunch cycle just to develop an internal demo? That's absolutely wild, and that doesn't make sense, especially if the game is years out, because there's no possible way that you're not going to instill that same type of culture for the rest of the development cycle.
Naughty Dog, basically them just throwing bodies at the problem and burning through their staff. Well, doesn't seem like much has changed. In March 2020, The Last of Us Part 2 was getting ready for release after loads and loads of delays. Back at the time, Jason Schreier was working for Kotaku, and he dropped this bombshell report. And I really do mean bombshell. In it, we learned that Naughty Dog was crunching, and crunching hard. Staff were describing 12-hour days and weekend work, pretty much going on and on and on for a long-ass time, the sort of thing that we in the industry would call a death march. And it was all in service of getting the game ready at absolutely any cost.
So, I know Hell's in here. I know a couple other people are in here. Any of you guys ever worked in like a factory or like a traditional job? Like, I'm not going to defend crunch and crunch culture. I think crunch and crunch culture can be very bad, can be very damaging. It's very hard to have a life. It's very hard to have anything outside of work. It is very interesting to me to see that when these jobs come up and when people talk about jobs like software engineering or anything else, they talk about these types of things happening, and they seem to act like it's the only place it's happening. But if you've ever worked in more of a traditional standard job, there have been probably months or years straight where you have worked 10, 12-hour days every day, 7 days a week. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it's good. We know why it happens, and it happens because it's cheaper to pay employees overtime than it is to hire additional employees and train them. We all know why it happens. But to act like it is only happening there, or it's new or weird or interesting that it's happening there, is really tough, because I don't think it draws sympathy in the same way that some of these people think it will. A lot of these jobs are perceived to be easy. Doesn't mean they are, but public perception is you're working in a job, you are programming, you're doing graphics, you're sitting in a computer, you're sitting at a desk all day, you're working on things you love, you're working on projects you love, so you're spending like 12 hours a day at it. Like, boo-hoo. I'm working in a factory, I'm lifting heavy equipment, I'm picking up things, I'm physically exerting myself for 12 hours a day, I'm barely making any money, and this is the only job I can get, and if I don't do this, my family's poor. And if I don't want to do it, then I don't have a job, because it's either work 12 hours a day or you don't have a job. And because of the type of work you do, trying to switch to a different company is going to put you in doing the exact same thing, just under somebody else with less bonuses, less benefits, less vacation days, and other things. So I don't know. I feel like this is one of those hard things, because it sounds really bad, because it is bad. But I don't know who you're going to draw sympathy from, because the average people that are buying games, they're already working the same way, but they feel like they're working in a career that's not fulfilling. So they're not going to really care or sympathize with somebody that they wish they could change places with. In the US, it's so many industries. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
But to make things even worse, Jason's report wasn't just about The Last of Us Part 2. It actually revealed that this crunch stuff was going on as far back as 2016's Uncharted 4. Now, that's a game that Neil Druckmann, the co-director, kind of darkly described as a reflection on the drive that leads many people in game development to crunch, which is of course rather easy to say when, you're kind of the boss. Now, to make this sort of thing relevant to like you and me, I just have it in my head. What's been going on with Naughty Dog? Why has their output kind of decreased over time? Why has a lot of it been like remakes, remasters, that kind of thing?
It's because a lot of these studios can't come up with new original titles. It is much easier to do remakes and remasters because you already have a built-in player base. So you have a projected minimum floor on how much money you're going to make. My nose. Give me a second. When you make new titles or new IPs, there's a giant inherent risk. And that risk is that it's not going to resonate, that the systems aren't going to work, or that people aren't going to enjoy it. And if that happens, you lose a ton of money. And with the current development costs that are baked into large AAA studios, between middle management, upper management, bonuses, payouts, stockholder expectations, your budget to make these big titles is so large that you can't afford for them to fail. And because you can't afford for them to fail, you can't afford to take chances. And that is why I think this happens.
And I have to wonder if they've just lost a lot of their staff because they've ended up being a bit of a shit place to work. Now, at least after that report went out, it seemed leadership kind of understood the problem. They said that they wanted to improve things after 2020, basically between the shift to remote work and the abuse that staff suffered during the launch window leaks. And by 2022, sources actually told Jason Schreier that a freshly implemented production team had actually improved things for the company. For a bit of a quote on that, well, in 2024, the QA lead, Patrick Gross, explained in a documentary how things had changed. Though obviously, given the existence of this video, I'm not too sure how it went.
This is go figure that happens, be a shit place to work, lose staff and talent. Oh yeah, I think that the interesting part to this whole thing, to me, is as remote work becomes more of a thing, as people can find different jobs and it's much easier to transplant and take your talent someplace else, you're much less inclined to work at a bad business or for a bad company. And I think when it comes to gaming studios and gaming development, we're not that far removed from like the height of World of Warcraft, right? Like you can look at it and be like, oh, it's like 5 or 10 years ago or whatever. Like institutionally, that's not very long. The gaming studios mindset has not changed that much. And realistically, like coming post-COVID, COVID was a couple years ago now, but it's still not that far. If you were to go back to like the height of World of Warcraft, all of the reports were that World of Warcraft was like very heavy in crunch culture, was not always the best place to work, and people would have still signed up hand over fist to work on World of Warcraft at the height of its popularity, even if it meant they had to work in a shitty spot, because people wanted to work for World of Warcraft. People wanted to work for Blizzard because of the overall company and the prestige and everything else that was sort of tied to that studio. But I think that, again, because of how easy it is to find jobs, how many large studios there are, how many different career opportunities are open, and the fact that you don't have to just move to Silicon Valley or move to one of these places where these studios are. You can literally get a remote job and live in Georgia and work on one of these studios, that you're not seeing the same level of acceptance to corporate culture, and you're seeing a lot more pushback. And that pushback is changing the corporate culture. But the downside, right, wrong, or indifferent, the downside is that culture was what allowed that studio to flourish. But if you take away that culture, you're going to have a hard time making that studio flourish. Prestige still looks good on a resume today? Oh, absolutely does.
Here's what he said. When we onboard people, we tell them we have a reputation as a studio for crunching, and it's something that we don't want, and it's something we're not going to do anymore. I hate to shock you, but the reports are that they are in fact doing it again. And in this case, it is down to pressure. And that's because by the end of 2025...
Yeah, I nearly moved to France just to work at their help desk back in 2005 just because it was Blizzard. It's like a lot of younger people and a lot of people who are entering the job force now have a level of, I don't want to say entitlement because entitlement sounds bad, but they have an expectation of like a work-life balance. And it's not bad that they have that expectation, but like providing a level of work-life balance doesn't really work for employers. Most employers don't do that. Most employers say they do that, but when you go to the front lines and you go to where the work is actually done, that's not typically what's happening, right? You'll have factories, you'll have big name companies, you'll have all these people and they're like, we care about work-life balance, we care about doing all these things. Look at our office people. They get to work 9 to 5, they have flex schedules, they can take time off. If they need to be 2 hours late, they can be 2 hours late. They can just make up their work, blah, blah, blah. Sounds really good when you deal with the office. What up, Prek? It sounds really good when you deal with the office, but then you go look at their factories, you go look at where the products are produced, you go look at the places where the work is actually done. Those employees do not have that same situation. Those employees can't just not show up or walk off the line because their kid's sick, because now you just shut down the line, right? They are a cog in a machine, and that machine has to work. They don't have the same benefits that their home offices do. And in some cases, they might have some, but not all of them. But the places that they buy their sub-assemblies, their products, and everything else from are second and third world countries where they don't have any of those protections. So, like, I'm not justifying or saying it's good, but there's a level that people just don't understand how the world works, right? And the more that you try to change things, the harder it's going to be for companies to be successful, because companies were successful because they took advantage of their workers. People are going to disagree with me. People are going to get mad in the comments. People are going to tell me it's a jaded view of life, but it's just a fact, right? Why they ended up becoming entrepreneurs. They aren't built for corpa. Yep. And when you look at some of these studios, like Young Blizzard, Young Naughty Dog, all of these studios, they were developed around this crunch culture, but they were developed around it because everybody that was doing it had a stake in the company. Once you become such a large company, nobody has that same stake, but you cannot just continue to expand all of your job roles because you can't afford to do it.
Naughty Dog were under severe pressure. Look, if you don't want to code or you're not into games, skip this, but if not, then I have got something for you, and that is boot.dev/BellyTheirNews.
I will tell you, like, the guy who runs Boot Dev, I talked to this guy on Discord numerous times. And I've talked to him through emails and stuff like that. This is a good dude. This guy was actually like a really good dude. He takes care of his content creators and the people that like help promote his content or like promote his website. But I do think it actually works pretty well.
They're today's sponsor, and you know what? Where the fuck were they a decade ago when I was in university? You see, I've got a BEng computer science, and from doing that, I can tell you that Boot teaches this stuff incalculably better. Now, what they teach you is back-end development. That's the kind that lands 100K plus comp jobs, and they do it through a proper 12-month structured program that's like a role-playing game. I mean, literally, leaderboards, achievements, a Discord that actually helps. And over 750,000 students have completed 33.7 million
They do a good
lessons,
job.
which is wild, and that's including TypeScript, Go, and Python from the fundamentals up. So this is not some learn to code in 2 weeks silly scam thing. Boot teaches you the fundamentals that separate professional developers from vibe coders who ship security nightmares.
But at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to talk about this too much because it's like an ad segment and it'll be taken out. But like, yeah, I mean, it's cool that it teaches Python. The idea behind Boot Dev is it teaches you how to do it. But like, you know, most games and shit aren't coded in Python. Most of them are coded in C++, or they're coded in C#. But even still, most are coded in C++ because of UE5. So it gets you to understand the basics. You're still gonna have to learn a new language, but it's still good.
And just take a look at their new training grounds feature. It's kind of wild. It knows what you've learned on their platform, and then it uses that to challenge you, basically generating personalized coding problems using spaced repetition. So
anyone
you
can be a
actually
dev.
learn.
Yeah.
It's always growing.
And it's gonna continue. It's gonna continue to get even further. Where I think it's gonna be really crazy, Tora, where I think it's gonna be really crazy is when somebody like that is great for the back end, on just like the back end, like what, just interacting with the databases and stuff, like just doing the database work, management, like server side back end and shit like that, not the actual work of the game. What I think is going to happen, Tora, is I think like UE6 will have AI built into it to help you just code the game directly in UE6. Like UE6 will be like DB servers, services. That makes sense. That makes sense. And maybe that is a good way to do it, because C++ definitely can be kind of cumbersome. C# is good for that though. Like if you're doing something in Unity, right? UE6, native agent development, maybe. Yeah. I see it being integrated into their platform in some way for UE6. It's the only thing that would make sense, like, to iterate on UE5, right? Agent native IDEs are a thing right now, yeah. So imagine that in UE5, like in UE6, where it understands UE6 better than you do, because it knows exactly what it needs, and it's trained based off of the material in UE6. So you can just ask it, and it knows exactly what it needs to do within the language.
It's an actual community, and you
It'll
can
be
actually
interesting.
browse all of
Also,
their
what up, dude?
contents for completely free. You only pay when you want to get stuck into all the interactivity and game-related stuff. To learn it all properly and get 25% off your first purchase, go
It's gonna
to
be wild.
boot.dev/BellyTheirNews. The way to save the most money is to do that on the annual plan, and of course that's backed up by the fact that if you're not happy, they will refund you on the spot. What we're talking about today then is 7 weeks of mandatory and seemingly unpaid overtime for Naughty Dog staff that ended just before Christmas. So, the team found themselves crunching again, even though we had all of this PR-ish stuff saying that, oh no, we don't do that sort of thing anymore.
I'm curious about this because he says it was unpaid, and I'm assuming that it wasn't unpaid overtime. I'm assuming it was salaried employees working over their 45 to 50 contractual hours a week, which can happen with a salaried employee, though doing it egregiously would be something that most people would push back on. And again, I'm not justifying it, but I mean, to act like it's not paid, that's what salary is for. We talked about it earlier about people just being able to leave work and do whatever. That's like the benefit of salary. But if you're being pushed into working like exceeding amount of hours, you definitely are going to want to push back on it, right?
Now, this is an allegation that's coming from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, and in his report, he cites people working on Intergalactic. And as for what was demanded of them, well, it was at a minimum 8 hours of extra log development time per week, all in office, and that this was overriding their previous 3-day per week policy. That's 3 days of having to work physically in the office. Now, obviously, if you're working 8 hours more a week and you're not being paid for those 8 hours, I think something's going fairly wrong. Now,
This person, I like Bellular, but I'm assuming he just, in what he's saying, I'm assuming these people are salary, because you cannot have hourly employees work overtime without them clocking in and paying them. You can absolutely have salaried employees work overtime. If you become a company that is known for doing that, you might have less people apply. You can absolutely do that, right? Unless they have like some sort of like salary exempt rule where salary gets overtime. But most companies have done away with that if they can get by with it.
It's on surface level weird, but I think is not surprising, is that in theory, leadership had actually placed guardrails on this sort of thing, trying to prevent it from happening. But in practice, well, they were telling staff they shouldn't work for more than 60 hours total each week. Obviously, that's quite a lot. So basically, staff had to end up threading a needle here. They had to meet management's demands without making management look bad on the actual official logs. You know, do a whole bunch of crunch, but make sure that your actual logs cover your boss's ass. Seems sketchy. Now, we currently understand that the crunch period has actually ended and that they successfully completed the demo before Christmas, meaning they can return to...
Bellular is also European, where the laws are more protective of their employees. But even in the U.S., salary doesn't equal overtime exempt. In the U.S., there are salary. So here's how it works in the U.S. At least any salary position I've ever had. Normally, a salary position, normal salary positions, in the U.S., they will salary you at about 45 hours. So every job that I've had, exempt salary is different from salary. It absolutely is. Don't know their legal rights. Yeah. So here's what I'll say. I have worked numerous salary jobs. Almost every salary job I've ever had in the U.S. salaried me at 45 hours a week. Most of them required me to be in the office or at my desk 8 hours a day. And they would say, we expect you to be at your desk eight and a half hours a day, right? And you're scheduled to be at the office 45 hours, or you're scheduled to work 45 hours. So we pay you for 45 hours, you work 45 hours. As a salaried employee, you are guaranteed to get paid for 45 hours. If you get your work done, early, if you have a doctor's appointment or something like that, just take the time off. We're not going to ding you for it. But the flip side of that coin is if you're home, an emergency issue comes up, or like you need to like cover for somebody, you work and you don't get paid for it. That is the risk of being salary. So at the end of the year, as long as you average 45 hours, then you are still covered, right? Now, that doesn't mean that they won't try to get you to work more hours. And that's just considered a bad company, right? And that's just the way things work. St. Andreas, man, chat, can I get some W's?
Well, hello.
I get some W's, man. Thank you for the 3 months at tier 1, man. Thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting me, and thank you for supporting the channel. I absolutely appreciate you, brother. Thank you very, very, very much for the support. Thank you for the sub. But that's the way salary works. So if you find a situation where you are being taken advantage of by your company, and your company is like salaried you at 45, you're constantly working 52 hours, you can go to your boss. Typically, you can get your hours reduced. Or if you don't like it, then you just find a different job. That's typically the way it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way it goes. Full-time salaried jobs here scaled into 36, 38 hours a week. Working during, say, Christmas is a holiday. If you need to work during holidays, you get 200% overtime. Where are you at again, Hoffmeister? Because like where I'm at in Indiana, 45 hours is pretty standard. And you don't get overtime pay. You're not salary exempt. So like in order to get overtime pay, you would need a company that would be considered salary exempt. In the Netherlands, yeah, that would make more sense. That would make more sense. Like in the US, most companies are not salary exempt. You're in Indy? Yeah. So most of us that have worked salary jobs, it's 45 hours is pretty standard. and you're not exempt. So if you have to work over, you have to work over. Most people don't punch a clock. Most people don't have their hours tracked. But the EU, to like Wordu's point and everybody else, things are definitely a lot different for you guys because labor laws are much different. Typically, non-exempt salary works up to 8 hours and get paid for 8, but still gets paid overtime. Exempt salary gets no overtime and gets paid the same regard of hours worked. Yeah. Basically. In most depending on where you work and what type of company it is, right? Like typically like automotive manufacturing is more standard salary. If you work in like a more high-end job or like more of like a niche job, you might be getting a little bit of overtime. And then when you start working in the highest end jobs, there is no such thing as overtime. You get bonuses, right? Like if you're like a vice president, like your whole life is work. Like you're not getting paid more money because you're working at home, you're on your phone, you're taking phone calls at night, you're going to business dinners. That's just part of your life, right? What Judge described is often how companies explain it. The law is a bit different. You can do what you want and you can argue it and fight it and you can try to take it. You can try to take it to courts if you really want to try to dispute labor charges. What I will say is in a realistic world, the laws are going to be different and what you can prove versus what happens, what you can prove that was made for you to do, what you can prove that you took on yourself. If you ever want to try to fight a company legally, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But what I will say is be damn sure you can win because you can't afford to lose. And be damn sure if you do win, you make enough money that you don't need to work again because you will basically not be able to find another job again if you decide that you want to fight a company like that. That's why I quit senior management back in sales. Loved it. Make more money than my manager. Absolutely. Overtime exempt, still has to track hours because their hours work. Extremely rare. It still has to be paid. If you there was like new laws that just recently passed, right? Around like making like a minimum of $52,000 a year based on the amount of hours you work. That's like a recent thing, right? They say they didn't get paid for it, but if they're exempt salary, I'm sorry, you get paid for it. That's what you signed up for. Yeah, because there were like recent laws that were passed January of 2025, right? It's where like if you were a salaried employee, you needed to be salaried at like $52,000 or $55,000 a year and blah blah blah. There's a bunch of other stuff that goes into it. Yeah, labor laws are very, very touchy. Labor laws are very touchy. They're very convoluted. They often are written to benefit the employee, like the employers, not the employees. But I stand behind what I say. If you ever decide you want to go after a company, better be damn sure you win because you cannot afford to lose. 3x the minimum wage is one of the requirements. Yeah, January 1st, all minimum wage also. Go up for over 20 states too, yeah. At the end of the day, if you're actually worried about this stuff, like definitely check your labor laws. But the whole point of this like really big conversation we just had was this type of shit happens all over in the US. I think Bellular having an EU take on it is interesting, but Naughty Dog might be an EU company. Like I don't think is Naughty Dog a US company because that could make a big change too.
Do basically normal work, including doing 3 days in the office.
How did we turn a 6 minute
January?
How did we turn a 6 minute video into 40? We're 6 minutes into the video and we're 40 minutes into conversation. Are you close to Indy? I'm closer to Cincinnati. We moved like further away from Indy. I used to be like probably 35 minutes from Indy. Now I'm like probably hour and a half from Indy. Probably, I think it's probably about an hour and a half drive up to Indy. But if I'm ever up around that way, I'll have to let you guys know. Like, I'll have to do something in Discord and let you guys know if I'm ever up there, like, visiting friends and shit. Because, like, right now I can't afford to do anything. But if I could, let you guys know we could try to meet up someplace for, like a pint.
But given that this sort of thing happened, for an internal demo, so not the sort of thing you should need to crunch out, people are kind of worrying. And by worrying, well, I have a quote. They are wondering if overtime requirements will get worse later in the development cycle. Do you really have to wonder? I think we all know that's going to happen. I mean, if the past is even a slight indicator with this company, is absolutely going to happen. Because,
absolutely,
you see, this stuff was not about the release of the game. That's not what they were crunching for. The game isn't even expected until mid-2027. Let's place bets on whether that'll happen or not. It's not currently some Last of Us Part 2 scenario. What this was all about was crunching a demo because of the internal pressure that Naughty Dog have been facing. And this is where I have another quote from Jason's report.
I mean, a company that is built this way and is built around crunch culture is not going to just change. You do not change corporate culture overnight. Anybody that has worked for a company knows that lip service and what actually happens are two different things. You can't just wake up one day and be like, yeah, we're done with crunch culture, and then just magically expect crunch culture to be done. It just doesn't function that way.
This overtime period was an attempt to get the production back on track after several missed deadlines. And if you've been keeping up with what's going on at Sony, you'll know that there's probably quite a threat looming over the studio. This crunch was about shipping a demo for PlayStation. Now, milestone reviews are perfectly standard, and in non-first party games, they're usually how you unlock your next stage of funding. So, you hit a milestone, you get your money. And this basically allows for feedback, course correction, and it lets publishers protect their money if development is completely going wrong.
I mean, I didn't know that that's how it works, but that's the way it works in the construction business. You show design plans, you do whatever, you get everybody to sign off on it, you get money, you break ground, you pour the foundation, you get the initial framing up, you get money, right? Like, you definitely hit deadlines to unlock funding because nobody's going to turn over large amounts of money to you. It makes sense. So, I mean, it makes sense, and it makes sense that Naughty Dog needed the money, and they needed it before the end of Q4, like calendar Q4, so they pushed for the crunch. I mean, all of that makes sense, right? So they were getting paid for not getting the job done, then complaining about being required to get the job done. Got it? Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And you can blame it on the employees, you can blame it on management, but at the end of the day, you signed up for certain deadlines. You should be able to hit those deadlines, right? But you can't hit those deadlines if you set those deadlines based on everybody working 60 hours a week in a magic scenario, and now you're working everybody 38 hours a week, and you're going to miss every deadline you have.
But if several missed deadlines, which is a direct quote from Jason's reporting, have already passed, then that does suggest something has gone deeply wrong.
They probably will.
At Naughty Dog, and has gone wrong at the worst possible time. And that's because right now, PlayStation are out for blood and efficiency. You see, in their 2024 business segment reports, Herman Hulst explained that they had, and I'll now go to a quote from the man himself, changed the way we support studios through central services, greater operational rigor, which, by the way, if you're at one of those studios, is what we call a veiled threat, but also, probably wise. But
that's sarcasm. Yeah, but the downside is it's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen. Blame management? I think you always blame management. I 100% think management is always to blame. I think anytime management blames employees is a complete lack of understanding in how management and oversight works. I think that your job is to hire people that fit into your company culture, that understand what is going on, that are there to perform a job and to perform. And your job as management is to ensure you get the right people and you provide the right motivation. If you hire a bunch of people who are not motivated by bonuses and bonuses for hitting performance like milestones or hitting deadlines, if you hire a bunch of people that don't care about that and you're trying to motivate them with money, then it's not going to work, right? You need to ensure that you understand your employees. You hire people who are motivated by what you're using as motivation, and then you continue to drive to drive your employees to strive, right? Management should have been holding their people accountable all the way. They should have been holding their people accountable, and they should have been motivating them. And I think that management should provide realistic expectations to senior management, and senior management's job is to convey that in a way to investors to ensure that investors wants align with production. Because the problem is, if you do not tell senior management the truth, and then senior management has a misalignment with investors, then you are going to have a situation where investors have unrealistic expectations. Senior management has said that they can meet those unrealistic expectations, and then puts pressure on middle management to hit unrealistic targets and goals. And then middle management is incentivized to hire people with misaligned goals to try to drive product forward, and you just have misstep after misstep after misstep. You can always make people work longer hours, but the quality of work will drop. Absolutely. So this is a failure at management all the way across the board, right? 100%.
To go back to Herman, a much more intentional top-down approach to portfolio, increased oversight of our development processes, and he goes on and stuff, but you can basically understand that it's all in service of reducing costs, keeping their budgets on track, and, quote, balancing profit potential with associated risks. You know, not having another Concord, basically. And this is why two unannounced...
Also, Sony, and by extension PlayStation, has had a lot of missed projects. They've been promised things that were not able to be delivered, and I cannot blame them for being very hyper vigilant when it comes to their investments moving forward, because they have been being sold by senior management of numerous companies that these products are going to do very well. And some of their highest profile projects like Concord and here soon to be Marathon, I don't see doing well. And it is going to be so much egg on their face. They cannot continue to lose a lot of money like this. So I don't blame them for putting additional pressure on people. It just sucks that a lot of these other companies sold basically the same like pseudo lie or the same promise, and they're not going to be given a chance to prove that their vision is accurate. But when you've had this many high profile misses, you're going to ratchet up the pressure on everybody that's working for you.
Live service games at Bluepoint and Bend were cancelled in early 2025.
Oh, absolutely, for sure,
now,
Leon.
The timing here is actually real important. Early 2025 is before Concord goes and lights itself on fire and dies. So even before Concord imploded, PlayStation had already decided they were trying to get their risk in order. And by that time, we'd already had plenty of evidence.
Even if you're saying this was before Concord imploded, I think that there was a real risk of these massive games being overinvested in. And there was writing on the wall around how not good Concord was potentially going to do. So I mean, I don't know that you could have seen the pre-registrations and everything else and not noticed that there was a good chance these companies weren't going to deliver. I think Australia made it to where you can't expect staff to reply to emails outside of work hours. I think that other countries outside of the U.S. have way better consumer or like employer protection laws, for sure.
It laid off 8% of their employees globally, and they closed down London studios in early 2024. That's all stuff that can't be blamed on Concord, and those layoffs also did impact Naughty Dog. All of that feeds into this story. I mean, if Naughty Dog aren't immune to layoffs, which we already know they're not, and they've missed several deadlines, which reports say that they have, well, would they be immune to having a game cancelled?
Also, I'm going to jump in here. The further we got from COVID, the more that the market corrected. And I think you guys will have to correct me in the comments below. But I think that people noticed an overhiring, and people were already trying to course correct. And they had been trying to course correct from 2022 on to try to downsize workforces that got very bloated based on all the additional overhiring that happened with COVID due to lack of efficiencies. People working online, people working remote. So it's really hard to contribute this to just one factor, but I think that you just need to take all of it into consideration when you look at it.
Now, PlayStation have shown that, say with Marathon, they're willing to throw money at a project if they really have to, but a game like Intergalactic, well, that's over a year away. And if Naughty Dog had already missed several milestones, maybe this increased scrutiny could have pushed them back to their old habits, back to the crunch that arguably gutted a lot of that studio's power, maybe even leading them to the stage where they're struggling to hit their targets. And of course, all of this is especially the case because the studio's leadership has actually been changing. And I think it all basically means big alarm bells are ringing. Since 2023, Neil Druckmann has been studio head and head of creative at Naughty Dog, leading a revamped team right as Intergalactic production was kicking off. But he actually wasn't working on Intergalactic full-time. His attention had been split between developing The Last of Us TV show, which of course is something the PlayStation have been very happy to support given, you know, game sales, awards, and remember, those game sales aren't for super old versions of the game. No, they're for the brand new remasters that are still selling for quite a lot of money. So that was going on. But then in September, he actually announced he was returning to Naughty Dog before the filming of season 3 of the TV show. Basically, he said he'd been removed from day-to-day work and that other leaders had stepped up while he was focusing on the show. We then see...
Well, yeah, he was focusing on the things that were driving money, right? Like the show was driving brand exposure, which was then driving people to go get the game. It makes sense that that's where they would put his attention, right?
A month later, the Naughty Dog would begin crunching their staff to hit the demo deadline. Now, obviously, I cannot tell you that there is a direct causal link between the return of Druckmann and the crunch that followed. I can't say that Neil just walked back into the office and said, "I'm getting the whip out, boys! Get working, because Herman's going to kill us all." I don't know if that happened or if it didn't happen. So read this as events.
I mean, I could say you could infer it, right? The show fell off hard. Yeah, the show fell off hard, but you can discuss why the show fell off. I think the show fell off because of the creative liberties that were taken with the show and like some of the social messaging that was added to the show and a bunch of other things
that are happening in and around the same time, but are not necessarily causal. But what we can do is we can look at all the pressure that is building on Naughty Dog. We do see a PlayStation that is increasingly ruthless about cutting projects that don't come together. We have a studio head who has returned after the studio had missed multiple deadlines, and a weakened mid-level management that apparently hasn't been able to deliver a project without hurting its staff. All of that combined into nearly 2 months of crunch.
Here's my question. I'm going to ask this, and I'm going to ask this as serious as humanly possible. So Neil Druckmann comes back. Neil Druckmann comes back after The Last of Us Part 2 and all the stuff he's doing with the show. He comes back, and Intergalactic is stalled. It's not doing well. It's missing deadlines. Like, middle management isn't doing worth a shit. As we talked about before, like, middle management should be conveying things, blah, blah, blah. It's doing terrible. Sony is cutting products left and right, or projects left and right. They can't afford to keep doing this. Your game is multiple years out. You're still very early in the early stages of investment. Okay? Neil Druckmann comes back in. He says, guys, we got to right this ship. So I'm going to crack the whip. You guys are going to start working overtime. We're going to start hitting our deadlines. We're going to start making sure that we're able to get this going forward. Fuck you doing my retirement, get to work. Here's the way I'm looking at it, Wordu. So he comes back and he cracks the whip. He says, this is what we got to do, boys. And the reason he says that is Sony's cutting projects. So either we turn this ship, we right this ship, or the ship's going to get sunk. So either you work a bunch of fucking overtime, or your project's cut. Does that make sense? So I'm not defending. I'm just saying, like, looking at it from a business sense, your decision is work a bunch of overtime, get your project back on track, start hitting your milestones, start hitting your deadlines, prioritize things, increase your workflows, increase your optimizations, do all this stuff. You either do this, or Sony is going to cut this project because we can't hit deadlines, and Intergalactic has already had a bunch of negative publicity because of, like, the main character. There's, like, accusations that it's going to have a woke story and all these other things. Sony knows these projects aren't doing very well. You're already missing all your deadlines. Fuck it. I'm cutting the project. Work the overtime or you're out of a job. That is the most plain way you can say it. You either work overtime and you have to work crunch, and we're going to have to do this for the next, like, 6 months or a year until we get everything back on track, or you guys are all just unemployed. And then you're going to go put on your resume that you're unemployed because you were working at Naughty Dog, you were working on Intergalactic, and the project got axed because you couldn't hit your deadlines. It's going to be that's going to be a hard sell when it comes to get a new job, isn't it? I mean, you're not going to have a lot of people that are willing to sign you up as a developer or as a creative narrative designer for a game that's already been accused of being woke and wasn't able to hit its deadlines and wasn't able to do everything. And you can point and be like, it's management's fault, and it is management's fault. But at the end of the day, people are going to go, why would I hire you if you're not efficient? You're not efficient and your studio just got shut down. I could pick you up, or I could pick up a recent college grad. Right? Like, let's just... there are always two ways to look at everything, and it's all about which narrative you're trying to drive, right? At the point, good staff will work the OT and find new jobs, and that is the truth of it, Thebe. The best employees that are there, that aren't the ones that are causing the fuck-ups, they will work the overtime, they will go heads down, they will make sure it happens, and they're already looking for a new job. And they will leave the studio, and all you're going to be left with is the employees that you don't actually want, and that is management's fault. And all of this comes back to how it's management's fault. Management misran the situation, and because Druckmann wasn't there to like keep the ship going forward, middle management fucked it up, and now they're all standing there with their dicks in their hands going, what do we do?
And that is because crunch, in a way, is actually the easy way out. You know, I can predict that the video comments are going to be full of people saying, oh my god, these entitled goddamn game developers with basically fake jobs sitting at computers. What a bunch of whiny crybabies. How about they go outside and do a real man's job? That'll be there in the comments. And look, I know what it's like, say, crunching to get a conservatory done in time.
Catching up, deadlines won't do much anyway. The game's toast unless it's totally revamped. I think there's a real concern on that, right? Actually makes me wonder how many key employees have left already. Probably a lot.
You gotta dig the foundations in time for the concrete that's arriving or something, and yeah, you can't wait. The job has to be done. That's basically, you know, my family business. I know what's up there. But a video game is not the same as building a conservatory. And I know that a lot of construction projects are a hell of a lot more complicated, but basically, stay with me here. Software is extremely complex, and while crunch will actually get you, it will actually work. You see, that's the thing. Crunch will work. In a limited and specific fashion, you'll accrue a lot of technical debt. You will wear out your team. Because in a world where there's a bit of crunch here and there because, hey, it's the real world, shit goes wrong, I think that's basically okay and completely understandable. But when crunch just becomes the default way to sort things out, well, maybe that's how you end up with a studio like Naughty Dog, one that now is not able to hit its basic deadlines and has not been able to.
So I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, and we talked earlier about how other jobs and other factories and other industries basically thrive on overtime. I wasn't justifying that as good. And we explained earlier that the reason they do it is because it's cheaper to force people into mandatory OT than it is to hire additional employees. So creating a situation where it's all crunch is bad. But the problem here seems to be the lack of management oversight and management not setting clear targeted goals and forcing people to hit those goals, right?
Hit multiple of them in a row, basically meaning that Druckmann has maybe been forced to come back, right? And it's weird because the studio have been talking about fixing the crunch practices for years. They know it's bad. They know it's literally hurting the strength of their team and therefore hurting the amount of video game that they can produce for you.
But this goes back to, like, if they've said they've been trying to work on it and it's not pure lip service, then maybe they have. Maybe they have been more lax on the amount of work they've been requiring employees to do. They've been trying to do what they can to help with like the crunch culture, and that has put them in a situation where, because AAA studios are so bloated with additional roles, middle management, management jobs, marketing jobs, and everything else, the budgets are so constrained that they're not forcing people into a crunch work cycle, but they're also not able to spend the money to hire the amount of people they need to offset the lack of crunch. And because of that, they find themselves in a situation where they're at a budget deficit, but they're not enforcing the crunch culture that they had, or they're not enforcing people to work maybe 9 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day to get projects done. And their company culture has slipped in a way that we work our 7.5 hours and we leave. We don't work 8 or 9 hours. And in doing so, every hour that you take off of the books has to be made up somewhere. And that's how you end up in a situation in a project like this, where you've just got a lot left to do. And now you have to add all those hours back in at the same time. One company I worked at had crunch periods before product releases, but also had mandatory paid days off during the 2-week crunch. Yeah. We also had release schedules 2 years in advance, so everyone knew what was going on. Yeah. Well, and that's like where things are different between like gaming and software and everything else. It is a symbiotic relationship of making sure you're hitting your deadlines so other people can hit their deadlines. But it's not the same thing as like a factory where the car is going to roll by either way. So you just have to find a way to make it work.
And every time, the people involved probably do mean it when they say they really don't want crunch. They can see they're exhausting their staff. They know that it's contributing to attrition. And from what we understand, attrition is fairly high at this studio, even though it's a studio that quite literally makes industry-defining games. But the thing is, Crunch does actually ship games, and it has been shipping games for 20 years, 30 years.
Overtime works. I mean, to his point, overtime works. Every industry has it, and it works. That's why it keeps working. It is cheaper to deal with that than the other underlying issues. It is cheaper to force people to work and deal with attrition than it is to retrain your entire staff and redo your entire company culture.
We have lots of different terms for it. BioWare Magic is one of them. And more than that, it ships games that top the charts and win critical acclaim. So yeah, they may make some changes and try to plan ahead better.
Is there any world in which anybody believes that the studio behind Expedition 33 only worked 7.5 to 8 hours a day with absolutely no overtime and no crunch in order to produce the game they did and ship it the way they did? It's just the way it works.
Seemingly, they still do miss the deadlines. They find their build isn't ready for review. It happens again. It happens again. Something's gone wrong in the process. Now they see Sony are cutting staff all over the place. They're killing projects. And maybe Naughty Dog starts to actually get scared because something's gone wrong in planning, and that does not change the fact that they need to ship their work. They can't go back in time to fix the plan, but what they can do is ask more of their staff. That's
Boys, you either get this project out or you don't have a job. I mean, that's what you tell them. Hey, we haven't been crunching you this entire time. Now we've got crunch period. You crunch or you don't have a job, boys.
the easy thing to do, because for a studio like them, it has basically worked every time before. And maybe this early crunch means that staff will avoid crunch whenever release approaches. But it's almost always the case that crunching and crunching and crunching means technical debt and burnt out staff. All things that reduce the efficiency of your team, the efficiency of your development, which probably means that, you know, if I were you, I certainly wouldn't put money on Intergalactic actually coming out when it's supposed to come out. But hey, they can always rest easy in the knowledge that the crunch did pay off, that they did win. They completed their demo, but more than that,
The company went public and the deals. They had changed to chase investors' money, causing it all go to hell. Yep. What's the problem when you're dealing with something like this and you have somebody else footing the bill, right? So in the case of Intergalactic, if Sony's spending a bunch of money, then yeah, they're going to be screwed.
they actually won an award. It's the inaugural Workers' Choice Award for Worst Crunch Culture at the CWA union-hosted Avarice Awards. I wonder what sort of staff reports they got. It'd be pretty cool if some of those staff reports made it into my email inbox. I'd love to hear. But anyway, that is it for this video. Now you guys know what's up. Let me know what your bets are on when Intergalactic will come out, or if it will even come out. And to the award-winning management team at Naughty Dog, congratulations. It's great to see you guys get yet another win.
I don't know, boys. I think Bellular puts forward an interesting take. I think it's interesting to see the way people view things outside of the US and the way that company culture is like just different. Right? It's just completely different the way things are done in the US and outside of the US, or the way the US mindset is. I think Intergalactic is probably going to get canceled. If I was Sony, I would cancel it. I would go ahead and cancel it now, but I mean, Sony seems to like to burn money. They love to burn money. Like, they're getting ready to have Marathon come out. It's going to fail. They had Concord come out. It didn't do very well. High Guard, hopefully that Sony doesn't have a hand in that, because that's another game that's about to just like absolutely tank. So I don't know, boys. I think that the crunch culture is definitely a thing. I think crunch culture is good and bad. I think if it's used properly and appropriately, it does very good. But I think if you lean on it too much, it's the same as every other company in the world, and too much overtime makes a crappy place to work, which increases problems, and it's something you have to move forward with, right? You have to have loss leaders write off, and it has to be believable. Yeah, that's possible. But I do think that in any factory, if you've ever worked in a factory or done anything else, there are factories that have really bad overtime. people know not to work there, like it will sour you in the industry and there's not really much you can do about it. And they will end up paying the price for it, and they'll pay the price until they actually get new management in there that know how to manage the situation and ensure that they don't fall behind. But I think the other part of that is getting responsible senior management that pitch projects that are reasonable, but that all comes from them being well informed by the people below them. So this is a systemic problem, and I think Naughty Dog is going to have issues with it for a while. But you guys definitely have to let us know what you think. People also take shortcuts during crunch periods. Oh, absolutely. Well, it's like people working on overtime. People working on overtime just get tired of it. People working overtime just get tired of it for sure. Let's see what we got here. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second, guys. Let me go get a drink and use the bathroom, and then we'll look at maybe watching another video, and then we'll switch over to playing some games. Give me a second, guys. Be right back. I don't know, boys. I think we might just switch over to gaming. I think we might switch over to gaming. I think we might switch over to gaming. I'll have to go back and like that Bellular video. But I think we might switch over to gaming. We might play some games for a little bit and then go from there. This is always stuff we can pick up on tomorrow, because I'm assuming there's not going to be much that happens in the news tonight other than the same shit that's been happening. So we're definitely going to need some videos to watch. So this might be better. This might be better for tomorrow, chat. You're rather curious on which one? On the Vera Dark thing or what? Because the Vera thing we can tackle early tomorrow. Yeah. The gacha game. The Gooner gacha game abandoned Steam launch after refusing to make changes. We'll check this shit out tomorrow. This will be one we check out pretty early tomorrow. Unless like some major news shows up. Unless some major news shows up, we'll check this out. Many gachas don't like the cut that Steam takes. I mean, can you blame them? Can you blame them? Can't really say that I blame them. Yeah, we'll pick this up tomorrow. Let's move this over here. Minimize that. All right, guys. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, we will be switching. I know we haven't really had a lot of viewers on YouTube. I don't expect we'll get a lot of people over. That'll take some time for YouTube to really kick up. But we will be switching over. So I'm going to be ending the stream on the YouTube side, and then we're going to be bringing it up on the gaming channel over on YouTube. So give me a second to make those changes. And if you guys did watch it over on YouTube, know that I appreciate you guys. But we are going to switch it over to the other channel. So give me a second to move stuff around.